He Yuming's performance proved more and more that things were not simple. Zhao Wanqing knew what must have happened in the room, and looked at Xu Yan, waiting for her answer. Thinking of what they saw in the room, Xu Yan and the other female soldier became more and more disgusted with men. They looked at the dead people and stared at He Yuming, who was kneeling and kowtowing. Xu Yan said in a concentrated voice. "We found something in the refrigerator. A lot of meat. Human flesh. A female head and half a freezer filled with human flesh. The woman is the bride in the wedding photos, the man's wife. This beast, in order to survive, actually killed his wife and froze it in the refrigerator as food." The more Xu Yan said, the colder his voice became. The female warriors next to him couldn't restrain themselves and wanted to stab He Yuming. After hearing this, Zhao Wanqing felt a little cold. She could kill her married woman so ruthlessly just to have food to survive. It's only been a month and a few days after the end. Will there be another incident of people exchanging children and eating them in the future? Zhao Wanqing doesn't dare to think about it. Sorry, there is nothing I can do. I was so hungry that I lost my mind. Damn it, I really deserve to die. He Yuming knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing, crying, but he was facing Zhao Wanqing and a group of female warriors who hated men to the extreme. Break the limbs and throw them away to feed the zombies. Zhao Wanqing turned around and pronounced the fate of He Yuming. He Yuming, who was kneeling on the ground, was frightened to death. He shouted with red eyes. "You are looking down on human life. You can't treat me so much. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't need your rescue. Get out." Facing the crazy He Yuming, Xu Yan's eyes were full of murderous intent. He unsheathed the Tang sword and stabbed He Yuming's limbs without hesitation. His hands and feet were pierced. He Yuming lay on the ground like a useless person, and he was still roaring and cursing crazily. Xu Yan lifted him up with one hand, and quickly rushed downstairs. Soon he was on the street outside. Using his arms, he threw He Yuming into the zombies. The screams echoed, and the zombies feasted. Watching. In this scene, it was not until He Yuming was completely dismembered that Xu Yan and another female soldier left. Zhao Wanqing and others moved quickly. The entire community only had 13 buildings. Near evening, they searched it thoroughly. The man discovered more than 20 people were now turned into corpses. He Yuming only found 1, while the woman found 8. He brought all 8 women to the gate of the community and looked at the sun that was about to set. Even Zhao Wanqing, now that I am powerful, I dare not challenge how terrifying the zombies are at night. Come on, we have to get back to the hospital before dark. Since we had cleaned up before coming, the way back seemed very smooth, except that the 8 women following us were a little struggling. They were all ordinary people, and they were still malnourished for a long time. Even if they had just eaten, they couldn't keep up with Zhao Wanqing and the others. Looking at the situation, Zhao Wanqing waved her hand and said, "Xu Yan, each of you carries one on your back. When you are tired, change others and go back as soon as possible." The girls nodded, and their speed increased a lot. When passing an intersection, Zhao Wanqing suddenly raised her hand to stop everyone's progress. In the doubtful eyes of the girls, Zhao Wanqing looked towards the street on the left. Over there, the roar of the engine was very harsh. Looking over, at the end of the road, several off-road vehicles made harsh roars, knocking away the zombies blocking the road. In addition to the roar of the engines, there were also the crazy roars of men and women. They seemed very excited and regarded crushing zombies as entertainment. Behind the modified off-road vehicle, there was also a truck. Unsurprisingly, this group of people must have come out to search for food. The off-road vehicle opened the way to attract zombies, and the truck took advantage of it. While the zombies were being lured away, Zhao Wanqing came to carry the food needed for life. Looking at these people, Zhao Wanqing wanted to go over and capture them, and then find the other party's stronghold along the way, but it was too late now, and Zhao Wanqing could only give up. Safety is the most important thing. Xu Yan was carrying a woman on his back, looking at the arrogant convoy over there, and asked, "Captain, do you want to go there?" "No, let's go back first, these people can't escape." With that said, Zhao Wanqing headed towards the hospital without looking back. Not long after, Zhao Wanqing returned to the hospital. At the entrance of the hospital, Lin Yuyu stood quietly, but the flying sword light kept strangulating, looking at the zombies coming from other directions. After all, the zombies around here are limited. After so many days of strangulation, the number of zombies coming over has been significantly reduced. It can be foreseen that in 2 days at most, there will be no more zombies. There are zombies coming over again. Even if the zombies have a keen sense of smell, their distance is limited. It is impossible to smell the scent of a living person even though they are several kilometers away. Looking at Lin Yu at the door, Zhao Wanqing is very wary. Even if it is her lightning power has now been promoted to LV4, but she still feels incomprehensible when looking at Lin Yu. It's like they are not on the same level. Zhao Wanqing guessed that Lin Yu's power level is at least L5, and may even be already she has reached level 6. Now she has to kill 500 zombies to advance to level 5. It's hard to imagine how many zombies it takes to reach level 6. Came back? Come on in. Are these the survivors that were discovered? Thanks for your hard work. Lin Yu straightened the wind-blown hair around her ears and greeted Zhao Wanqing. Zhao Wanqing responded. Just as she was about to ask if Lin Fan was back, she felt a suppressed and terrifying aura coming from the street opposite. The power of thunder and lightning made Zhao Wanqing couldn't help but look over, and she was stunned for a moment. At the end of the street, behind the dense zombies, Lin Fan was walking at the front. The zombies blocking the road were turned into coke by the terrifying lightning. He couldn't even get closer than 100 meters before he turned into a corpse. Behind Lin Fan, hundreds of women followed closely with awe in their faces. Looking at this scene, not only Zhao Wanqing was stunned, but also Xu Yan and other 16 people, the female warriors, were also shocked. Compared with them, Lin Fan looked more like he was just having fun. It was already a bit difficult for them to bring back these 8 women, but Lin Fan bringing hundreds of women was like going out for an outing. The zombies couldn't take a step beyond the bounds. This scene was too shocking. It didn't take long for Lin Fan to clear away all the zombies blocking the road. Looking at Zhao Wanqing and others in front of them in a daze, Lin Fan smiled slightly and raised his hand to caress Zhao Wanqing's face. I can feel your efforts, you have become stronger, a lot. After saying that, Lin Fan also looked at Xu Yan and others. You too are working hard to become stronger. After receiving Lin Fan's praise, Xu Yan and others almost fainted from excitement. Being praised by the gods in my heart, this feeling is worth dying for. Host. Lord, these are all given by you, and we are extremely grateful for your greatness. What we have done is simply insignificant. The electronic door slowly opened, and Lin Yu walked out. Looking at the hundreds of women behind Lin Fan, Lin Yu couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. She obviously didn't expect that Lin Fan would bring back so many women. Lord, go in first, it's getting dark soon. Opening his arms and hugging Lin Yu, Lin Fan lowered his head and kissed her. In front of so many people, Lin Yu was still a little uncomfortable. When Lin Fan raised his head, Lin Yu's face was rosy. The family has worked hard for you, and these women must also work hard for you to arrange it. Lin Yu shook her head, pulled Zhao Wanqing next to her, and said with a smile, it's not hard, I still have Wanqing to help me. No, it's what I should do to share the Lord's worries. Okay, let's all go in, it's getting dark. A group of women followed them into the hospital. After handing these women over to Lin Yu and Zhao Wanqing, Lin Fan acted as a hands-off shopkeeper and walked to the edge of the open farmland with his hands behind his back. The hospital is very large and has a lot of open space. Lin Fan Yu did not leave the maids idle, and was always cultivating the land. When Lin Fan came over, 5 or 6 acres of land had been reclaimed. Seeing Lin Fan coming, the maids knelt on the ground to say hello, and Lin Fan raised his eyebrows. I was a little surprised, but I thought it was probably Lin Yu's arrangement, so I didn't care. Isn't it normal for a maid to kneel down and say hello to her master? After walking around in the field, Lin Fan pointed to the vegetable patch in front of her, asked, what has grown here? If we go back to the Lord, here are the beans. What about over there? Potato. Here's the eggplant. Listening to the maid's answers, Lin Fan nodded secretly. He had grown a lot of vegetables, but he didn't know whether the climate in the Magic City was suitable for the growth of these vegetables. He had never planted them before. After leaving the farmland, Lin Fan came when we arrived at the orchard. Unlike the newly planted vegetables, these fruits were all transplanted from Su Shaoluo. They were all finished products, and many of them were edible. There were also a few maids here, So Lin Fan asked the job of these maids is to catch insects and drive away the flying birds. Many birds will eat fruits. In order to prevent the fruits from being harmed, these maids will drive them away whenever they find birds coming. Lin Fan turned around. Lin circled around and found that the house was arranged in an orderly manner. He felt very relieved. The only problem was that a group of maids kept looking at him. He felt a little embarrassed even if he wanted to pick a grape to see if it was sour. He found a hidden corner, and Lin Fan turned sideways to block the sight of the maids, picked one with quick hands and feet, and then threw it directly into the beaker. Not sour, very sweet. He left the orchard contentedly, but as soon as he left, a maid came over. She looked at the missing grapes and glanced at Lin Fan's back strangely. Blocking their view just to steal a grape? If it had been anyone else, this maid would have been frightened to death. Lin Yu had strictly ordered the maid not to eat fruit secretly, and she would be severely punished if she was found guilty. But now that it was Lin Fan who ate it, she would not be afraid anymore. If she reported the truth truthfully, there would be no consequences at all. Punishment, she didn't panic at all. Little did he know that Lin Fa, whose little trick was discovered, returned to the supermarket leisurely. Zhao Yanyan, who was watching at home, saw Lin Fan coming back. She immediately smiled and knelt down beside him to change Lin Fan's shoes. She looked up at Lin Fan with a charming face. "Lord, would you like to take a bath first or?" In the military district on the outskirts of Shanghai, a military helicopter landed slowly. The helicopter's hatch opened and Major Yi Feng jumped off. Bai Hao was also taken down by several soldiers and followed behind Yi Feng. With Bai Hao, Yi Feng arrived at the military region conference hall unimpeded. After receiving permission, Yi Feng opened the door and walked into the conference hall, while Bai Hao stayed outside. Yi Feng stood upright under the gaze of Lu Yuanbin and others, and saluted. "Generals, Major Yi Feng has returned to the team. He has fulfilled his mission and successfully brought Bai Hao back." Lu Yuanbin nodded with a smile. Regarding his soldiers, "General, they are generally very caring, and so is Lu Yuanbin." "Okay. Well done. Do you have any other gains from going out this time? Have you found the two people in the video?" Yi Feng stood up straight and replied after hearing this. "Report to the general that the two people in the video were not found." Lu Yuanbin had expected it, and was not disappointed when he heard this. He stood up and patted Yi Feng on the shoulder, encouraging him. "It doesn't matter, this is expected. You have been working hard this time, so go back and rest first." "Yes, General." Yi Feng saluted, but did not leave in a hurry. Lu Tengyu, who was sitting on the right side of the conference table, frowned and said, "Major Yi Feng, what are you waiting for?" Lu Yuanbin raised his hand to stop Lu Tengyu's scolding, and asked with a smile, "What's wrong? Is there anything else you want to say?" Yi Feng was thinking of the women he saw at the Second Key Hospital in Shanghai. In Yi Feng's eyes, these women were all good prospects. He didn't want those women to be swallowed up by zombies because the army left for too long. The military region said it's in the suburbs, but how big is Magic City? Magic City is said to be a city, but in fact it's not much smaller than a province. It's hundreds of kilometers away when the army sets out there. If it's late, those good seedlings may have already been there. Zombies, Chinese food. General, I just want to ask, when will our army set out to enter the city? Oh, is there anything worth worrying about so much? Are there any relatives of yours in Magic City? If this is the case, a helicopter can be sent to pick it up. Lu Yuanbin loves his soldiers as much as his sons, not to mention that Yi Feng is a confidant he promoted, so he is naturally very concerned about it. Yi Feng shook his head and said embarrassedly, "Report to the general, I just accidentally discovered a few very good ones. Seedlings, I want to bring them back. These good seedlings died miserably in the zombies. What a waste." "Good seedling? How good is it?" Lu Yuanbin was surprised. He knew Yi Feng very well. He had a very high vision. Anyone who could be called a good prospect must have something extraordinary. If that was the case, he wouldn't mind giving Yi Feng some privileges. He recalled it. Yi Feng said, "Based on the observations of my subordinates, those women have very strong physical fitness, far better than our soldiers. With a little training and teaching some military skills, the king of soldiers will not be a problem." Poof. Unable to hold back, Lu Tengyu laughed out loud. Although the conference hall was a very serious place, Lu Tongyu still couldn't hold back. Major Yi Feng, do you know what you are talking about? A few women can become soldiers with a little training. King, are you kidding or looking down on our soldiers? Or are you saying that you despise the title of King of Soldiers? Not just any cat or dog can become the King of Soldiers. Tongyu, enough is enough. Lu Jingyu's face was gloomy. Yi Feng was his subordinate. Lu Tongyu mocked him like this. Wasn't this a slap in the face in public? Lu Tongyu looked at Lu Jingyu with raised eyebrows. He had never been convinced by this elder brother. Sooner or later, the old man had to delegate power. So who is the commander-in-chief of the military region? A long time ago, the two brothers didn't see eye to eye and often fought openly and secretly. Enough. Just when Lu Tongyu wanted to retaliate, Lu Yuanbin's old voice came, and Lu Tongyu shut up in an instant. Lu Yuanbin had long known about the overt and covert fighting between the two brothers. He also had a headache. The palms and backs of his hands were full of flesh, and he didn't. Who do you prefer to help? Yi Feng, you go back and rest first. I already know about this. The army will enter the city soon. Don't worry. Yi Feng looked at Lu Yuanbin gratefully. The battle at the top was beyond his control, but the old general's promise still moved him. Yes, General. As for Bai Hao, everyone present didn't care. He was just a little transparent and almost dispensable. If it wasn't to prevent him from being taken away by other forces, there would be no need to bring him back. After Yi Feng left, Lu Yuanbin, after knocking on the table, the secretary next to him turned on the projector, and soon a picture appeared on the projection screen. The situation is getting worse. Not only domestic forces are paying attention, but many foreign countries have also seen the video. The international voice is very loud and they want to take those two people back. It is very likely that some countries will take action by now. Lu Yuanbin sighed. He had just learned about this matter. This development trend gave him a headache. The country has not dealt with it well, and foreign countries have come in to get involved, especially the conditions put forward by those countries. It is simply speechless. In order to recruit that boy, Emperor Neon actually promised to marry the little princess to that man? The British Empire wants to marry a princess. Good guy. This is not the famous princess from Neon. This princess has the right to inherit the throne. Good guy. The furry bear even threw out the vice president. What is this stuff? The outstanding bloodline of Dabong's a country. Let that kid recognize his ancestors and return to his clan. This little country has not been overrun by zombies yet? Looking at the international text messages on the projection screen, the two brothers Lu Tongyu and Lu Jingyu were so envious that their teeth were sore. Let's talk about how we plan to handle this matter. Lu Yuanbin knocked on the conference table and asked with a straight face. On the right side of the conference table, Wu Gozhang pondered for a moment and said, the top priority now is to find those two people. They must not be snatched away by foreign countries. Even if they die, they must die in our country. I suggest sending troops to clean up the Magic City as soon as possible and detain this person. Wu Gozhang is Lu Yuanbin's old friend, and his words are very weighty. Lu Yuanbin nodded. He thought the same as Wu Gozhang. In his opinion, the two people in the video are very dangerous. If they cannot stay in the country and be used by him, then it must be destroyed, otherwise the threat will be too great. With such a person here, who can sleep peacefully? Wu Gozhang's words were in line with Lu Yuanbin's thoughts, and he immediately said, pass my military order, all the soldiers of the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, will be ready. Weapons and chariots have all been inspected. In 3 days, we will enter the Magic City. Everyone in the conference hall stood up and shouted in unison, yes, Commander-in-Chief. The meeting is over. An order was issued, and the entire Demon City warlord Lu family mobilized urgently. Technical troops checked the status of strategic weapons such as tanks, armored vehicles, and attack aircraft overnight. Everything was preparing for the war in 3 days. Demon City is finally about to welcome the war. Come the smoke of artillery fire. In the hospital supermarket, faced with such an obvious hint from Zhao Yanyan, Lin Fan took a shower as a matter of course and put the exhausted Zhao Yanyan in the room. Lin Fan opened Su Xiaoluo's door feeling refreshed. She didn't know if Su Xiaoluo was too serious about her painting, but she didn't even notice when Lin Fan opened the door and walked in. Without interrupting, Lin Fan casually picked up a piece of paper. It must have been a scrap manuscript. It had a construction drawing of the hospital on it. Unfortunately, it was only half of the drawing and was thrown away. After picking up a few pictures in a row, Lin Fan thought they were good. After all, for a layman like him, they were really good. Ah, this one doesn't work either. I always feel like something is wrong. Suddenly, Su Xiaoluo shouted frantically. He grabbed the A4 paper with his little hand, rolled up a picture he was about to draw into waste paper, and then threw it out. He raised his hand to grab it. Lin Fan, I opened it and looked at it, scratching my head a little. What's wrong with this? I think it's already very good. Su Xiaoluo suddenly turned around and looked at Lin Fan, who was standing not far behind him. He ran up to Lin Fan with his bare white and tender feet, grabbed the A4 paper and pointed at it seriously. It said, "Look here, here, and here. They are not in line with my expectations at all. If it is built according to this, it will be a huge loss. This is the masterpiece of the great designer Su Xiaoluo. How could it be so careless? How could I, Su Xiaoluo, live in a place without style? No, no, absolutely not." As he spoke, Su Xiaoluo waved his hands, with a very dissatisfied look on his face. Lin Fan pinched his chin and asked doubtfully, "This is for me to live in. When did I say I allowed you to live here?" Ah! Su Xiaoluo's face was dull, and he looked at Lin Fan blankly. After a long time, he exclaimed, "Eh, you won't let me stay? Ah, how can you be so cruel, you tyrant?" After screaming, Su Xiaoluo rushed towards Lin Fan angrily, raised his fist high and kept beating Lin Fan, expressing his dissatisfaction. Su Xiaoluo's face almost wrinkled when he saw it. Lin Fan quickly grabbed Su Xiaoluo's little fist, pinched her little nose, and said with a smile, "I'm just kidding. You are so cute, how can I not let you stay? Don't be too anxious, don't keep it might be helpful to stay in your room and go out for a walk to change your mood." Su Xiaoluo sighed in frustration and muttered, I know, it's just a matter of scaring others." Rubbed the legal loli's little head and messed up her hair. Amidst Su Xiaoluo's frantic cries, Lin Fan left the room proudly. If you have nothing to do at home, take a bath or tease the little loli. Lin Fan felt that life was still very nourishing. As soon as he walked to the living room, he saw Lin Yuyu and Zhao Wanqing returning hand in hand, followed by two girls, Li Siki and Mu Yuqing. "You're back. Have those women made arrangements?" Lin Fan stepped forward, hugged Lin Yuyu and Zhao Wanqing, and kissed each other. He accidentally saw the bag Li Siki was carrying and was confused. "What's this?" Li Siki smiled and ran to the kitchen with the bag. With a look of confusion, Lin Fan hugged Lin Yuyu and the two girls and sat on the sofa. Mu Yuqing followed closely behind. After Lin Fan sat down, Lin Fan held it in his arms and gently massaged it with his little hands. After a while, Li Siki came out with a fruit plate. Looking at the fruits on the coffee table, especially a bunch of grapes, Lin Fan felt very familiar. "Lord, do you want to tell me that those maids will take it off and wash it for you? It would be unhygienic if it was not washed?" Listening to Lin Yuyu's instructions, Lin Fan's eyes were dull and he looked suspicious of life. Regarding the fruit, Lin Fan didn't take it to heart. He just didn't expect that he would be discovered after trying it. If he was discovered, forget it and report it to the police. Lin Yuyu. After understanding the situation, Lin Fan felt relieved. Fruits are regulated. If one of them is discovered, those maids will be severely punished. Lin Fan will not go to the maids because of this. After resting for a while, several people came up from the second floor and were eating the fruits that Li Siki had gathered around them. Lin Fan, who was standing in the king's row with Lin Yuyu, took a look at them and was immediately stunned. Lin Fan had an impression of the three women who came up. Aren't they the three noble dogs who were in the supreme box? Lin Fan still remembered the name of one of them, Li Yun. Up to now, these three people still have collars around their necks, and the silver chains are more like decorations buried in their clothes. The silver glitter is quite beautiful. The three women came up and bowed respectfully. Lin Yuyu raised her head, glanced at the three women, and explained to Lin Fan. The three of them are pretty good at craftsmanship. Wanqing is too busy, and they have a strong will. I let them come over and be responsible for cleaning the room and cooking. Lin Fan gave Lin Yuyu a strange look. He always felt that things were not as simple as they said, but Lin Yuyu had arranged everything, so he had no objection. Anyway, he felt comfortable in the end. Isn't it still him? Fine. Seeing that Lin Fan had no objection, Lin Yu nodded to the three women, pointed to the rooms inside and said, "Go into the second room on the right. Lin Yu has everything taken care of. Lin Fan is the master." These three women came here just to let Lin Fan control his eyes. If Lin Fan shakes his head, it means nothing. No matter how much the three women beg her, they have to go back to the dormitory. After the episode passed, Lin Fan continued to play games and eat fruit with Lin Yu in his arms. Lin Fan seemed to remember something, raised his head and said, "Siki, remember to bring some of these fruits to Luoluo." Li Siki responded, "Yes, Lord, I will send you a fruit plate later." In the room inside, Li Yun and the three of them let out a long sigh of relief after putting down their things. God knows how nervous they were when they just faced Lin Fan. When they were in the dormitory, Li Yun and the others were scratched. They got Lin Yu's permission to let them try here. If Lin Fan, the master, did not agree, they would go back to the dormitory obediently. Specifically, they would be maids who farmed the land, or they would choose to pick up the Tang Dao and become female warriors. It depends on their personal choice. Fortunately, Lin Fan did not let them go back, and they lived here as they wished. This is the greatest luck among misfortunes since the end of the world. My heart was in my throat just now. When the Lord looked over, I almost couldn't stand. I thought I was going to be driven back. It was so scary. After putting away some of her clothes, Li Yun looked to the side. The person speaking was Zhang Choewi. At this time, this beautiful woman was slapping her heart with lingering fear. The bulging clothes seemed to set off a huge wave. Zhang Choewi is the Magic City. The eldest wife of XX. I had a very good relationship with her before the end. We went to the Zui Shengmeng Death nightclub with her just to improve our relationship and see if we could push her husband to the position of Deputy XX of the General Administration. Don't be afraid. Now that we have moved in, it depends on our efforts. We hope to gain the favor of the Lord. Before Li Yun spoke, the beautiful woman next to her spoke first. She was the only beautiful woman in the trio who had nothing to do with Li Yun. Yu Yiren, a very nice name. The person lives up to her name, and the little bird is like her. She is the wife of the chairman of a large group with a market value of tens of billions in Shanghai. She cannot be said to be like a fish and a goose, but I feel pity for her, especially those big eyes that can speak. Even for this woman Li Yun it made her heart beat. After hearing Yu Yiren's words, Zhang Choewi was worried and depressed. Apparently she had seen Lin Yu and Zhao Wanqing who were no less stunning than them, and she was a little unsure. Li Yun glanced at her good sisters. Comforted. Don't worry, the three of you and I are already pretty and have the best figures. At most, we have become married women. But how long have you and I not lived a harmonious married life? Have we ever fucked with other men? It's very clean. Don't be discouraged. After being comforted by Li Yun, Zhang Choewi regained her composure and nodded. That's right. I have been a widow for 8 years and have always adhered to women's ethics. I will definitely be able to do it. Yu Yiren's beautiful eyes glanced at the two of them, recalling her married life. Her eyes looked very sad. We have been separated for 9 years. Li Yun took Yu Yiren's hand, and the three of them held their hands together. Li Yun encouraged. Don't worry, we also have our own magic weapon to win, and we don't ask for too much, so there will be no problem. After saying that, Li Yun raised her hand and touched the collar around her neck. Yu Yi and Zhang Choewi understood instantly when they saw it. Their faces were slightly rosy, but they didn't refute anything. It's time for us to go out. Don't forget that our duty is to cook and clean the room. If we can't do these things, how can we stay? At this time, Zhang Choewi and Yu Yiren woke up, hurriedly opened the door and ran out. In the living room, Lin Yu glanced at the kitchen and saw the three women starting to cook. Then she stopped thinking and devoted herself to the game. Inside. On the sofa, Zhao Wanqing is not as leisurely as Lin Yu. She is surfing the internet at the moment. She posted a rescue post before, and now she wants to see if anyone has taken the bait. If so, it will save her trouble when searching for survivors. Phew. Looking through the posts, there are quite a few that have been restored, but not many from the Magic City. There are always some from other provinces. Zhao Wanqing sifted through them. There are only a dozen or so from the real Magic City, most of them. They are all far away, so we can only give up temporarily, and there are only 3 that are close. After remembering the locations, Zhao Wanqing replied one by one, which made those who had been waiting for a day instantly become active, and then there was a burst of gratitude. After reading the post, Zhao Wanqing planned to exit the forum, but she soon stopped. For no other reason, the hot search exploded again. Looking at the attractive title, Zhao Wanqing clicked in and took a look at the content. Her expression was very strange. She discovered that these hotly searched posts were actually related to Lin Fan. This was outrageous. But this time it was the aftermath of the last incident, but it happened abroad. Just in time, at this time after Lin Fan finished playing a ranked game, Zhao Wanqing leaned directly into Lin Fan's arms, held up her cell phone and said, "My lord, do you want to marry the Princess of Neon or the Princess of the British Empire? Or do you want to be the Vice President of a furry bear?" Lin Fan, who was just about to stretch his muscles and start the journey to advance in the second set, was immediately stunned. He and Lin Yu both turned to look at Zhao Wanqing with doubts in their eyes. "What did you say? What Neon Princess, Princess of the British Empire? What is Vice President Furry Bear?" Handing the phone to Lin Fan like a treasure, Zhao Wanqing nodded. "Here, you see for yourself, my lord, you are angry again." Lin Fan took the phone and took a look at it, then raised his eyebrows. Emperor Neon promised that if the gods of the Eastern Empire were willing to condescend to come to Neon, they could choose any princess in the palace as his wife. The Queen of the British Empire promised that if an immortal from the Eastern Empire is willing to marry into the British Empire, she can choose any princess to marry. President Mao Shang shouted from the air that the Mao Shang Empire was willing to give him the high position of vice president and have real power. The 3 hot searches all exceeded 100 million. Looking at these 3 eye-catching titles, Lin Fan returned the phone to Zhao Wanqing. Seeing that she still looked curious, Lin Fan wondered, "You really want to know?" Lin Yu also raised his head, seeming to be very interested. Not only Zhao Wanqing and Lin Yu, but also Mu Yuqing, who was kneeling on the ground pinching his legs, and Li Siki, who was feeding fruit, all looked at him curiously, obviously wanting to know his choice. Seeing that all the girls were very interested, Lin Fan snorted and said disdainfully, "Do they need to promise? A princess can be so stingy? When I fight over, any princess I want will be mine, isn't it? Neon Emperor? What it is? Sooner or later, one day I will chop off his dog head and hang it in the imperial palace. Don't forget the national humiliation, do you understand? When the time comes, princesses and concubines will all be used as maids to atone for their sins. Are you satisfied with this answer?" Lin Fan's words made the eyes of Zhao Wanqing and the girls shine with brilliance. They did not think that Lin Fan was crazy, and they never thought that Lin Fan was talking big words. They firmly believed that as long as Lin Fan said it, he would be able to do it. Behead the emperor's head with hanging in the imperial palace. This is the spiritual pillar of Neon. This is equivalent to breaking the backbone of Neon people. All the princesses and concubines are working as maids. It is very exciting to think about it. What about the emperor's daughter and concubine? Let's all go farm. Bo, after kissing Lin Fan on the face, Zhao Wanqing ran away with the drone next to her with a smile. It's night now, and it's easier for the drone to find survivors. There are lights everywhere. If nothing else happens, there will definitely be survivors. She has never played the game of pesticides, so she won't show off her shame. It's better to do something she is good at. P.S. I didn't say we wanted eunuchs. When did we say we wanted eunuchs? I'm just saying that my grades are relatively poor and I don't plan to be a eunuch. Don't think too much. I'm still working hard on coding. How can I be a eunuch? Even if I have poor grades, I will work hard to write. Please don't worry. I can't be a eunuch. No, I know how to be a eunuch. I don't know how to be a eunuch. There were no living people in the hospital dormitory building long after the apocalypse. Even after Lin Fan cleaned up all the zombies, there were not many maids who moved in. There were only 40 or 50 of them, and among the 40 or 50 of them, there were some because of their status. Problem, not living together. This makes the huge dormitory building look very empty. Every night, it looks like a haunted house. The roars of zombies from outside make the already huge dormitory building even more terrifying. However, the dormitory building was very lively today. Lin Fan brought hundreds of women back from Zui Shengmeng Death nightclub. With the participation of hundreds of women, the dormitory building could no longer be quiet. The dormitory building belonging to the maids now houses nearly 400 women. Before they had no choice, they were all maids. Unlike usual, Li Fengzhou, Xu Yan and others who were supposed to go back to the female warrior dormitory were also in the maids' dormitory. They are like recruiting female soldiers in a school. This is the task given to them by Lin Yuyu. With so many women, Lin Yuyu doesn't want to fall too far. The development of a force cannot rely on just a few. Personally, the number of female warriors must not be too small. Downstairs in the dormitory, the dazzling lights almost lit up the area around the hospital as if it were daytime. At this time, nearly 400 people were sitting on the benches, looking at Xu Yan and others holding tang knives in front of them. In the crowd, Lu Yuer sat with two other sisters. In the last month, the three of them had established a deep friendship. It could be said that the three of them talked about everything. At this time, Lu Yuer had a worried look on her face. Now she was not as stubborn as she was on the 9th floor of Zui Shengmeng Si, but she was very worried. She saw the three Li Yun leave the dormitory and go to the supermarket with their belongings. She asked the other maids, and the results they got made her very uneasy. Over there in the supermarket lived the superior king of the hospital, the master of all the maids. That side was the center of the hospital's power. The maid also told her that Lin Fan didn't like force, which meant that Li Yun and the three of them were doing it voluntarily. Proactive. This gave her a strong sense of crisis. On the way out of the Zui Shengmeng Death nightclub, she saw how powerful, mysterious and terrifying Lin Fan was, and her attitude in her heart had already changed 180 degrees. Lin Fan was an excellent figure, appearance and strength. Shoes, change before the end, that is the top Diamond King. It is much more real now than before the end. Without a strong backer, what will be the result? Just look at the women next to you and you will know. Why haven't she and the other two sisters been touched yet? Isn't it because Lu Jinbao plans to keep them to recruit strong people, or give them to other powerful people? Lu Jinbao had told them this a long time ago, which made them happy and sad at the same time. Fortunately, they would not suffer disaster soon, but sadly, sooner or later, they would be thrown away like goods to others. This is a woman in the apocalypse. She has no status at all. Maybe the only way to have self-respect is to commit suicide, right? Now I met Lin Fan. This man was so powerful that it was terrifying. He was like a god from mythology. He was powerful and handsome. Apart from his bad temper and bad personality, Lu Yuer couldn't find any faults at all. Besides, it's the end of the world. Is it her turn to be picky? Even because of the not-so-pleasant encounter before, he didn't know whether Lin Fan would fall in love with her or whether she was qualified. What qualifications did she have to choose? Yuer. Have you seen it before? Li Yun and the other three went to the supermarket. What should we do? Han Jingyi said with a bitter face. Her beautiful eyes were full of uneasiness and confusion about the future. Her two little hands were helplessly held in her arms, causing the little piglet she had raised for 20 years to suffer. It was okay that Han Jingyi didn't speak. Qin Shiyue on the other side was also a little panicked. She pulled the corner of Lu Yuer's clothes with her little hand and asked for help. Yuer, what should we do? Among the three people, Lu Yuer undoubtedly occupies the dominant position. Listening to the helpless voices of the two good sisters, Lu Yuer is also very distressed. How does she know what to do? Is it so easy to get to the power center? The maid is not qualified to go there. Over there, you will be punished if you go there without permission. She can only wait until senior officials like Lin Yuyu come here before she has a chance to speak. And the most important point is, how should she choose? Just treat it as an ordinary toy. Play with it when you need it, and just be a vase when you don't need it. This is too cruel. It's not what Lu Yuer wants. People have a sense of crisis. There will be more and more vases in the future. Who still remembers where she is? Root green onion. Faced with the helplessness of her good sisters, Lu Yuer calmed down, pointed at Xu Yan and others holding tang knives in front of them, and whispered. Don't worry, I have already thought about it. The maid must be I can't do it. I want to be a female warrior, so that I can at least have a higher status and have the opportunity to perform. I don't want to be a casual vase. Where are you two? Should I choose to kill zombies as a way to get promoted, or should I consider slowly working as a maid, waiting for the opportunity to be spotted one day, and then squeeze into that vortex of power? Qin Shiyue and Han Jingyi hesitated for a while after hearing this. How to choose this? Killing zombies. That is too scary, but being a maid farming and doing chores. That is not what they can do. Yuer, how do you choose? We all listen to you. Qin Shiyue took Lu Yuer's hand and asked for help. Me too. The answers of the two sisters were the same, and Lu Yuer felt relieved. I chose to kill zombies. Don't think it's dangerous. In fact, I think killing zombies is very safe. After all, we fight as a team. As long as we don't seek death, we have these seniors. Now, there is a high probability that we will not have any problems. Compared with maids, female warriors have a higher starting point. Maids farm every day. What kind of tan will they get after a long time? Can you still see your hands and face? When the time comes, who will be able to catch up with us if our skin is rough? When Lu Yuer said this, the two sisters shivered. It seemed that this was really the case. Quiet. A cold shout came from the front, and an invisible evil aura rushed towards her face. What Lu Yuer wanted to say was instantly suppressed. The three girls Xu Yan, Zhu Fangfang, and Li Fengjiao held the handles of their knives with both hands and looked at them with cold eyes. Among the hundreds of noisy women in front of them, the one who just spoke was Li Fengjiao, who was standing in the middle. His cold eyes swept across the crowd, and the crowd fell silent instantly. Li Fengjiao was on a mission this time, so naturally she did not dare to neglect it. I know you are all maids brought back today, now I give you two choices. As she spoke, Li Fengjiao raised her hand. First, become a female warrior like us and pick up the Tang sword to kill zombies. In this way, you can gain a higher status and better treatment than a maid, but similarly, it's a big danger. After all, we are facing zombies. The second is to become a maid. There is no danger in this. You can also have enough food and clothing, but you have to work hard, just like before the Doomsday. Your tasks are farming and cleaning, and your status is at the bottom. After Li Fengjiao finished speaking, hundreds of women looked at each other and looked at each other. They didn't know what to choose. Killing zombies was too dangerous, and farm work was low status and tiring. If it had been before, they would have never even looked at it. But now, in order to survive, they must make a choice. Seeing that many women were motionless, Xu Yan raised his foot and stamped hard on the ground. The ground exploded, and large cracks spread out like a spider web centered on Xu Yan's foothold. Come on, the range is more than half a meter, and a pit appears where Xu Yan landed. Xu Yan looked at the many women in front of him with a serious look. Her method was simple and crude, speaking with facts. Become a female warrior and you can also have such power. Zhu Fangfang looked serious, holding her breath and concentrating. The Tang sword in her hand was instantly unsheathed, making a clanging sound. The silver sword flashed, and a knife mark suddenly appeared on the ground 3 meters away. This move is called Dao Mang. When you are as powerful as me, you can also unleash it. Killing a large number of zombies, Tang Dao gave the female warriors terrifying physical fitness, and even slowly condensed a breath of energy in their bodies. Zhu Fangfang only discovered it when she came back today. She is not the only one who can do this. Xu Yan and Li Fengjiao can do it, but other female warriors can't. Seeing the inhuman scene in front of them, the women were stunned. They kicked a hole in the ground. Can they still slash it with a knife? Sword chi? That's the sword chi in the TV series, right? Can a female warrior become so strong? The maids were all moved. At this moment, Li Fengjiao spoke, and her words were like a basin of cold water, pouring on all the women head. To be like us, do you know what we have gone through? We faced the siege of thousands of zombies and defended the defense line for more than 3 hours. From the moment we picked up the knife, we have killed more than 200 zombies each. Can you do it? Hiss. There were dense gasps of cold air, and the women's expressions of excitement instantly froze on their faces. Killed more than 200 zombies. What is this concept? They can't even think about it. One zombie is enough for them to scream in terror. How can they resist thousands of zombies? I'm afraid they've been eaten long ago and no bones are left, right? As if she still felt that the information was not enough, Li Fengjiao said again with a cold face. Today we crossed several kilometers of streets and faced endless zombies. This will even be the case every day in the future. While gaining great strength, we must also pay corresponding sacrifices. The price is, and most likely the price is death. I have made it clear, There will be no pie in the sky, now it is your turn to choose. After saying that, Li Fengjiao closed her eyes and said no more. Shu Yan and Zhu Fangfang looked at the group of women in front of them with blank expressions. Behind them stood 13 female warriors, although Li Fengjiao had an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers. But in terms of momentum, they had the absolute upper hand. Under this momentum, hundreds of women did not even dare to discuss loudly. The silence did not last long, as a figure stood up, and the calm was broken. I choose to be a female warrior. Compared to living an ignoble existence, I would rather die vigorously and block everything in me. Da da da, the buzz of helicopter propellers, the blast of missiles, the roar of explosions, and the intensive gunfire intertwined. The night was lit up by various explosions and muzzle flames, and huge lights shone on the ground. A massive, endless sea of zombies. Following the light and looking towards the end of the night, there is an endless sea of corpses with heads connected to each other as far as the eye can see. This is the imperial capital of the Eastern Empire, the cultural and political center of the entire Eastern Empire. At this time, this imperial capital is being attacked by an endless sea of corpses. Zombies' pursuit of living people is terrifying. Their noses are very flexible. The more living people gather, the stronger the smell of living people is, and the more zombies are attracted. Today, 80% of the imperial capital has become a sea of zombies. This imperial capital has a population of nearly 30 million, and the number of zombies is simply countless. Now these endless zombies are surging like ocean waves towards the heart of the imperial capital. There were too many zombies. There was no city wall to stop the zombies in the center of the imperial capital. The muzzles of the guns in the hands of hundreds of thousands of officers and soldiers were red hot with flames. A large number of missiles blew up big holes everywhere in this prosperous capital. On the temporary city wall being built in the rear, a group of high-ranking officials who were stamping their feet and shaking the entire empire were looking at the endless sea of corpses in front of them with binoculars, looking worried. Have the people we sent to the Magic City arrived? A general with 2 stars on his shoulders took a step forward, lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry, Your Majesty the Emperor, our people lost contact after leaving the empire for 1,000 kilometers. Judging from the last scene, they accidentally bumped into the big one. Flock of birds." Hit a large flock of birds? Putting down the telescope in his hand, Yang Ligung looked at the middleman with his old eyes, frowned and asked, "When did the quality of our Eastern Empire's air force become so low that it actually ran into a flock of birds?" Faced with the emperor's question, Lieutenant General Kong Wenshou looked bitter, and the quality of the air force was low. Are the soldiers of the ancient Eastern country known for their high quality? Emperor, there is something wrong with that flock of birds. They're very aggressive. According to the picture, the flock of birds seems to have turned into zombies because they ate a lot of zombie meat. It is not that there is something wrong with our soldiers, but that the birds are chasing the helicopter. Zhao Jian knew the whole story. When he saw the blurry picture at the end, he was also shocked. Is the sky unsafe now? Even birds are turning into zombies. What about other animals? Yang Ligung hearing this, the old eyelids twitched and he said in shock, "You mean, the birds in the sky have turned into zombies? When we lose control of ground traffic, are we about to lose control of the air? Kong?" Wenshou smiled bitterly and said in a difficult voice, "Your Majesty the Emperor, I'm afraid it's like this. 2 consecutive waves of our helicopters were attacked in that area. The group of crows seemed to regard that area as airspace." Yang Ligung pressed his somewhat swollen and painful head. The situation in the apocalypse has further deteriorated. Birds have mutated. This is not good news. Since birds can become zombies, what about the species on the ground? Those things that eat dead human flesh. Especially the rats, have they turned into zombie rats? What are these rats doing now? Has the ground been dug through? Your Majesty the Emperor, do we still need to send more people to the Demon City? Waving his hand, Yang Ligung sighed. There is no need to add more casualties. It doesn't make much sense to go at this time. But the Emperor, the Neon Side, the British Empire, and the Woolly Bear Empire have all spoken out. If we... Zhao Jian hesitated to speak, looking very worried. It doesn't matter. Let's not talk about how many dangers we will encounter because the Magic City is so far away. Even if we successfully reach the Magic City, let those people have a chance to meet the Lu family, the warlord of the Magic City. We can just sit on the mountain and watch the fight between tigers and tigers. Yes, Emperor. The city wall quickly became quiet, but the silence did not last long before it was broken by the noise. Let me go. Let me go. I want to see the Emperor. I want to see the Emperor. Putting down the telescope in his hand, Yang Ligung turned to look at the source of the noise. More than 10 meters away, a researcher in a white coat was being pulled by several soldiers. The noise was coming from the researcher's eyes. Yang Ligung has very good eyesight, and he knows who is coming just by listening to the voice without even looking. Wen Shuha, an imperial researcher with a PhD in biology, also knows the purpose of coming. He knew it even a week ago. Looking at the increasingly serious situation below, Yang Ligung sighed. Let him come over. After saying this, Yang Ligung was still hesitating. He didn't know whether it was right or wrong to do this, and what consequences it would bring. With Yang Ligung's promise, Wen Shuha took a face excitedly, ran over, looked at Yang Ligung excitedly, and shouted anxiously. Mr. Emperor, are you allowing me to do that experiment? Although Wen Shuha is a scientific madman, it does not mean that he is stupid. He still knows a lot of taboos and did not tell the specific experiments. Looking at Wen Shua's excited look, Yang Ligung nodded silently. Those on death row can give it to you. I hope you can produce results that convince me. Wen Shua's eyes lit up. He patted his heart and promised. Mr. Emperor, I will never let you down. Seeing the excited Wen Shuha running away quickly, Yang Ligung didn't know what to say. Wen Shuha wanted to do human experiments. Especially after seeing the video, this idea became even crazier. This madman actually wanted to create a god. It's just a human body. The experiment has always been prohibited by order, so it has never been carried out. Now the situation is getting more serious. The appearance of zombie birds forced Yang Ligung to make compromises. Not only the imperial capital of the Eastern Empire, but also the neon country Kyoto across the sea was submerged in a sea of corpses. Compared to the Eastern Empire, the situation of Neon was even worse. In this country, which is only the size of a province in the Eastern Empire, there are as many as 200 million people living. With such a terrifying population base, the rate of spread of the zombie tide is even more terrifying, and the madness of the zombies is even more shocking. Unlike the powerful military power of the Eastern Empire, Neon's military power is not strong. After all, it is subject to interference and suppression from North America. This also leads to Neon's form becoming more severe and worse in the face of endless zombies. The Imperial Palace, here is the center of faith of the entire Neon people, where resides the spiritual leader of Neon, the Emperor. The atmosphere in the Imperial Palace at this time was intense. Emperor Tokunomiya of this generation was ambitious and powerful. After the Prime Minister died at the mouth of a zombie, as the Emperor, he took over the military and political power of Neon for the first time. In the past, the Emperor was only a spiritual leader and had no real rights. Is there any response from the person over there in Shanghai to our conditions? There were gunfire outside the window, and the roar was deafening. Emperor Tokunomiya, who was now in his 40s, opened his mouth and glanced majestically downwards, waiting for the responses of many ministers below. Reporting to the Emperor, there was no response from the Magic City. It is possible that the other party did not see our statement at all, or did not care at all. The British Empire and the Bear Empire did not see the response from that person. An official who was kneeling on the ground spoke and replied with fear. Emperor Tokunomiya heard this and said solemnly, "The situation in Kyoto is critical now. Is there any response from North America?" Hearing Emperor Tokunomiya's words, many officials below were shocked. "You look at me, I look at you." Finally, an official said bravely, "His Majesty the Emperor," the North American side said. "Explain." "Say what?" "They said they could support us with a nuclear bomb to relieve our pressure." "Idiot. After decades, do those white-skinned pigs still want to drop nuclear bombs on our soil? Damn it." Tokumiya Masahito was furious. The nuclear bombs exploded on the country decades ago. It was Neon's shame. Those 2 nuclear bombs directly ended Neon's invasion of the Eastern Empire. Now the shameless North America still wants to invade his country, dropping nuclear bombs on the country. If the other party really allowed it to happen, he, the Emperor, would have to die to apologize. Turn down. Those white-skinned pigs will never be allowed to drop nuclear bombs on our sacred land again. Send people. Send someone immediately. The survival of Kyoto is at stake. Those big chaebol cannot stay away. In addition, Chief Tokugawa, please send the best ninjas in our empire to the Demon City. We must invite that person back as quickly as possible. Tokugawa Munamasa, who was sitting below, looked solemn, nodded and said, Your Majesty, I will take care of it immediately. Masahito Tokugawa was able to control the military and political power of Neon so quickly, and the Tokugawa family was indispensable. The real power of Neon is in the hands of the major chaebols, and the Tokugawa family is Neon's largest chaebol. Nihon's chaebols are very much like the gentry during the Warring States period. They possess a large amount of armaments and force. The sum of the major chaebols is several times that of the entire Neon. Even the ordnance manufacturing plants are under the firm control of the major chaebols. Almost all of the world's chaebols, every country is resisting the zombie tide. 1 month has passed since the end of the world. A new crisis is coming. I don't know how many countries can survive it, and how many countries will be destroyed by this crisis. Eastern Empire, downstairs of the dormitory of the Magic City Hospital. Lu Yuer walked out of the crowd under everyone's gaze, followed by 2 sisters, Qin Shiyue and Han Jingyi, behind her. Li Fengjiao opened her eyes and looked calmly at the 3 Lu Yuer girls walking over, with a strange color flashing in her eyes. In her opinion, the appearance of Lu Yuer's 3 daughters is too human. Even compared with the mistresses Lin Yuyu and Zhao Wanqing, they are not much different. Such women don't even think about how to be vases, but are choose to pick up a knife and fight zombies. Soon, Li Fengjiao saw the perseverance, unwillingness and ambition in Lu Yuer's eyes. She understood that this woman was not simple. She wanted to be a female warrior not just to gain strength, but to become a female warrior through this class. A springboard to eventually become a mistress like Zhao Wanqing and Lin Yuyu. It's not a vase that Lin Fan can play with when he remembers it, but throws it away without knowing where he can remember it. Being stared at by Li Fengjiao, Lu Yuer felt uncomfortable all over. She felt as if she was naked and had everything seen through. This feeling was very bad. Are you sure? It is very likely that your idea will be eaten by zombies before you can implement it. This is not worth it. Lu Yuer panicked. Looking at Li Fengjiao's calm eyes, she felt a little numb. She didn't expect that the woman in front of her could see her thoughts clearly. But, I am sure, if you don't dare to give it a try, I won't give in. Even if I fail, I won't regret it, at least I tried. A clear and determined voice floated downstairs in the dormitory. Lu Yuer's words resonated with many women. Yes, zombies are indeed scary, but if you don't dare to give it a try, how can you be willing to do it? Even if it fails and dies, it is better than living a cowardly life like this. There was a commotion in the crowd, and soon, women came out one after another and gathered behind Lu Yuer. They looked directly at Li Fengjiao with firm eyes and said decisively, We all want to be female warriors. If we don't succeed, we would rather die. Looking in front of me among the group of people, Li Fengjiao was a little moved. Her eyes stayed on Lu Yuer's face for a moment. She didn't expect that this woman's few words could inspire so many women to take courage. Many women were still making choices. Li Fengjiao did not speak until 5 minutes later. Li Fengjiao mentioned Tang Dao. Those who have not made a choice don't have to choose anymore. Congratulations to those who have come forward. From today on, you are a glorious warrior. The remaining women can go back. From today on, you will be the lowest maids. Someone will assign you jobs tomorrow. Now, follow me. After speaking, Li Fengjiao turned and walked towards the female warrior's dormitory next to her. Zhu Fangfang, Xu Yan and others did not stop. Seeing Li Fengjiao and others leaving neatly, Lu Yuer quickly pulled her sisters to follow. At the door of the female warrior's dormitory, Wang Ziwen leaning against the wall, he nodded to Li Fengjiao and others who had returned, and Li Fengjiao responded. When passing by, he asked, How is the injury, Wang? Ziwen was stunned for a moment, and responded with some flattery. I'm done now. I feel like I'm recovering well. I should be able to go out to fight tomorrow. I killed a few zombies through the fence today. I feel very good. Tang Dao's good results. Li Fengjiao nodded and led the team into the dormitory building. Come up too, I have something to say to you, Wang. Ziwen was stunned, but did not refuse. She followed him upstairs. In the corridor on the 8th floor, Li Fengjiao looked at the girls sitting in front of her and asked, Fangfang, have you finished the statistics? How many people are there this time? Including Wang Ziwen, there are a total of 141 new female fighters. 141 people? Li Fengjiao was surprised. At first glance, she saw a lot of people, but the number 141 people still shocked her. She didn't expect so many women to dare to fight zombies. Although she didn't know how many people would die in the process. Yu Shiko, but with such a large base, there will definitely not be many female warriors who can grow up. Suppressing the surprise in her heart, Li Fengjiao looked down at the many women in front of her with a serious look. I don't care if you choose female warriors, what is the purpose, but you must remember one thing clearly for me. That is absolute loyalty to the Lord. The Lord gives us new life and a better life. The Lord is unimaginably powerful. He is like a god walking in the world. The knife in our hands is a divine weapon given by the Lord. It houses the divine power of the Lord. Can make us stronger. Everything I have now is given by the Lord. Li Fengjiao spoke passionately, and her words were full of praise for Lin Fan. She was like a devout fanatic, spreading the greatness of Lin Fan, constantly brainwashing her with words, and portraying a great blueprint for the women in front of her. One pie after another was drawn. The women were originally in awe of Lin Fan's strength, but now under Li Fengjiao's beautiful portrayal. The awe in their hearts is even deeper, especially the artifact given to them that can make them stronger, which stimulates the women even more. Faith. Women are all emotional. After experiencing hellish despair, they suddenly come to heaven. The kind of light and hope makes it easier for them to surrender. I could have endured the darkness if I had never seen the light. Living in hell, longing for the light, as long as you give them some hope, they will go crazy. Only when they see the light do they know the beauty of the light, so they are even more afraid of falling into the abyss. If Lin Fan were here and saw this scene, he would definitely be very happy, because his desired goal has been achieved. The first batch of female warriors respected him as a god. No, they already regarded him as a god. After the new female warriors arrived, they spontaneously promoted his greatness and omnipotence. This is fatal. If things go on like this, no matter how many female warriors are added in the future, they will be assimilated. After all, people are social creatures, and 3 people become a tiger. If more people say it, under the influence of it, even if they don't believe it or believe it, they will be assimilated. Those who are close to vermilion or red, those who are close to ink or black. This is the case, especially religious beliefs. The exaggeration is even greater, stronger. Not to mention that in this doomsday situation, when there is no hope, even a fire will be regarded as a bright hope by everyone. After dinner, when Lin Fan was thinking about what to do in the evening, Lin Yu snuggled up to him. My lord, are you satisfied with the craftsmanship of the 3 of them? Not bad, pretty good. That's fine, I'm afraid what they cook is not to your taste. After nuzzling in Lin Fan's arms, Lin Yu raised her head and kissed Lin Fan on the chin, and said softly, My lord, you brought back so many women today. It won't be long before the food in the hospital is not enough. Speaking of the problem of food, Lin Fan was slightly startled. This was the first time since the end of the world that he had heard that there was not enough food. This was true, too. Before, there were only a few dozen people at full capacity, but now it has increased to more than 10 times. Based on the number of people in the hospital cafeteria, if you save food and add it to the supermarket, I'm afraid you won't be able to eat it for long. Well, how long will it last? Lin Yu calculated in her mind. If there is no limited supply, it will take about more than half a month. Lin Fan did not treat any woman badly, even the maid. Let her have enough to eat. Of course, if she works hard. This kind of thing is supervised. The maids supervise each other. Once they are found to be lazy, they will sit together. In this case, no one dares to be lazy. Lin Fan is not so evil-hearted after doing heavy work and not giving him enough to eat. When I go out tomorrow, I will focus on bringing back some food, so there is no need to worry about food. He patted Lin Yu on the shoulder. Having such a housekeeper at home saved him a lot of things. If he was asked to take care of this, his head would probably split. Lin Fan felt that he should reflect on it and go out normally. He kept killing zombies or rescuing women. Instead, He forgot to go to various shops in the mall and used up so much of his personal space. Yo-yo, is there anything you want? I can bring you cosmetics, clothes, bags, etc. tomorrow. Lin Fan is still a bit cautious. Lin Yu is obedient to him. It can be said that all the women in the family are like this. He doesn't seem to care about whether they have any needs. This is really inappropriate. If Lin Fan, it's okay that Yu is quarreling with him, which annoys him, and he doesn't feel that he has treated them badly, but Lin Yu doesn't ask for anything, so he feels embarrassed. Isn't this bullying an honest person? Lin Fan is just eating. If you make trouble with him, I'm sorry, I'll let you take care of him every minute, but if he doesn't make trouble, he will be a little embarrassed. Hearing this, Lin Yu thought for a while, and even waved to call Zhao Wanqing over. Brainstorming ideas. Lin Fan watched from the side, and the more he listened, the stranger he became. Silk, my lord likes it very much. Let's get some uniforms. I think the lord would like them too. Let's go shopping at the adult counter again. I can try on a lot of clothes. Perfume, cosmetics, etc. Your lord, you should bring more clothes of your own. Oh, by the way, those maids are human beings, so bring some for them too. Today, some maids went to work wearing clothes that were not yet dry, and the clothes were dried by body heat. Listening to what Zhao Wanqing and the others said to each other, Lin Fan was a little confused. What are these women talking about? But it is true that he brought some clothes back to those maids. He went to work in the fields with unused clothes, and still it's really inhumane to use your body temperature to dry. Forget it. Let's not go find the survivors tomorrow. Let's just move all the stuff from the nearby grain and oil stores and shopping malls back. This will save you a lot of effort and you can do it all at once. Lin Yu, they finally wrote a large piece of paper, which was densely packed with things to bring. Lin Fan took a look at it. As an experienced driver, he had a look on his face. What were these women writing? It was so exciting. Put it away. A4 paper. Zhao Wanqing was not in a hurry to leave, put down her mobile phone and got into Lin Fan's arms, suggesting, my lord, when it comes to these clothes, perfumes and skincare products, I think we need to establish a system instead of like now. Let's give those maids some motivation. How to say? After straightening her hanging hair, Zhao Wanqing said, these cosmetics and the like, you can't give it to those maids for free. Do you want it? Then use money in exchange. This money is our own special currency system, or reward system. What you do, what rewards you get, and then use this to buy food, cosmetics, etc. Women love to compare. Even with these as motivation, they will work hard without any supervision. Our power cannot only be farming. In the future, there will be various jobs, and then a complete social system will be established. Currency is essential. Lin Fan found these things very interesting, but when he thought about it carefully, he felt a headache. Why would he be harmed by something like this? Isn't it good for him to be a mascot? Why should he talk to him about such profound questions? It was agreed that he would be the master of the house, and the women would be the master of the house? Looking at Lin Fan's face that was almost wrinkled, Lin Yu raised his hands and rubbed them, comforting. Sir, we are just mentioning it to you. What do you think? Okay, we will find a way to implement it ourselves. Good lord, don't frown. Yu is feeling distressed, and so are you, Wanqing. Why are you talking in so many details? Zhao Wanqing rolled her eyes, but she felt a little distressed when she saw Lin Fan looking uncomfortable. It's my fault, it's my fault. I'll do it as soon as the lord agrees. You don't need to worry about it. Putting his arms around the waists of the two women, Lin Fan decisively acted like a salted fish. It was obvious that he didn't have to worry about it, so why bother? I agree. The monetary system is imperative. I will be responsible for bringing the goods and you will be responsible for issuing them. It is such a happy decision. With Lin Fan's consent, Zhao Wanqing and Lin Yu were not tired of being with Lin Fan. They walked aside one after another and discussed while writing with pens and papers. Li Siki and Mu Yuqing, who couldn't talk to each other, were left to wait on Lin Fan. Enjoying Li Siki's knee pillow and letting Mu Yuqing squeeze his legs, Lin Fan closed his eyes and thought about something. Nowadays, there are two superpowers, magnetic field control and lightning control. In theory, this is enough, but in fact, Lin Fan knows that it is not enough. He has idle points in his hand. More than 20,000 points are really a lot, but compared to 100,000 points, it's really not much. If he wanted to earn 100,000 points, even if he did nothing but kept catching zombies, it would take at least more than half a week, but the problem was that he didn't have that much time now. Will keeping money in your pocket make money? No, the worst option is to put it in the bank and earn interest. The best option is to do business and use money to make money. Lin Fan felt that there were some problems with his previous thinking. The power of 100,000 points was indeed very powerful. Time, space, and speech spirit all sounded grand, but were these effects very effective on him? No, Lin Fan thought. In the short term, he couldn't use those seemingly high-end skills with 100,000 points, so he might as well be more pragmatic and redeem 10,000 points for abilities, and then pass them on to Zhao Yanyan or Li Siki. For any woman, the experience of free prostitution is very delicious. The more he thought about it, the more feasible it became. Lin Fan couldn't help but want to redeem the power, but now he had a new question. What power should be exchanged for? While thinking, Lin Fan frowned slightly. Li Siki smoothed it with her small hands and said in a soft voice, "My lord, is it uncomfortable to lie down like this?" Lin Fan opened his eyes and moved his head. He couldn't help it, little one. The girl is rich in nutrition, and even if she doesn't move her head, she can't see Li Siki's entire face. However, Lin Fan has nothing to dissatisfy. It would be better to be bigger. Siki, what was your job before the end, or do you have any special skills? Me. Li Siki blinked her big eyes and said without thinking, "My lord, I studied civil engineering before the Doomsday. I am a graduate student at a prestigious university. If I hadn't caught up with the Doomsday, I would have been preparing to study for a doctorate." Lin Fan thought, civil engineering? This is good? This is very good. Now that Su Xiaoluo is drawing the design drawings and Li Siki is studying civil engineering, it will be much easier to build houses in the future. He has already decided what to exchange for his next power, which is Earth power. System. Exchange it for me for Earth-type abilities. Ding. 10,000 points have been deducted. Congratulations on acquiring the Earth control ability. Do you want to fuse it now? Fusion. I thought silently in my heart, and soon a heavy force suddenly emerged in my body. This force was very small and couldn't be compared with the thunder and lightning power. The khaki energy slowly circulated in the body, strengthening the body's strength. If we talk about the thunder and lightning power, focusing on destruction, what the earth power is better at is defense. The enhancement of the primary earth power soon disappeared. Lin Fan could feel that the defense power on the surface and even within the body had improved a lot, and the weaker areas had also improved. Much bigger than before. Ding. After the earth attribute fusion is completed, you will get the passive buff and the protection of the earth. When you stand on the earth, the recovery speed of the earth attribute energy in your body will be doubled. As the level of the ability increases, the corresponding gain attributes will be unlocked. Oh, the recovery speed is doubled? This buff made Lin Fan's eyes light up. This buff is amazing. With the energy doubled, wouldn't he be able to use earth attributes unscrupulously? And judging from the system prompt, it seems to be a supernatural power. After leveling up, will there be new buffs? This power is interesting. After tasting the benefits of the new power, Lin Fan was thinking, should he redeem it for another power? It's okay to keep more than 10,000 points. Might as well use it and get the maximum benefit. Yan, Ching, what did you study before? It is said that people flock together and birds of a feather flock together. Zhao Yanyan and the three of them should have their own specialties when they come together, right? Zhao Yanyan, who was standing by and ready for orders, heard this. Although she didn't understand what Lin Fan wanted to do, he replied obediently. My lord, before the end of the world, Yanyan was a teacher, but she taught a rather partial subject, botany. I'm a veterinarian. Holding Lin Fan's leg, Mu Yuqing replied. Botany teacher and veterinarian. After hearing this, Lin Fan thought for a moment and asked, Yanyan, how are you doing with your pointer? What? Pointer? Not understanding what Lin Fan meant, Zhao Yanyan said blankly. It's okay. I don't like corporal punishment of students. Can you play? Lin Fan asked again. Zhao Yanyan nodded and said bravely. My lord, Yanyan knows how to use it. Whether it is possible or not, since Lin Fan has asked, she must study hard when she is free at home. After receiving Zhao Yanyan's accurate answer, Lin Fan looked at Mu Yuqing at his feet, looking at her intellectual elegance with a stern look. He asked, Qingqing, your veterinarian usually cares for small animals, right? What do you like more? Although she felt strange. Mu Yuqing still answered honestly, My lord, Qingqing prefers cats. They are furry and look very elegant and noble. Cat. Lin Fan smacked his tongue. He actually liked it too, but he wasn't just a cat. Glancing at Mu Yuqing emphatically, Lin Fan asked the system in his mind. System, are there any cat-type powers in the mall? My lord, cats have superpowers. With this superpower, you can become a cat girl. Lin Fan. You've already said it, what did I say? It won my heart. How can it be repaired? There is still a few thousand points left, otherwise Lin Fan will definitely have to exchange for a cat-type power. Then he can point at Mu Yuqing and shout, Change. This is the dream of many people, but everything has a first-come, first-served basis. Let's wait for cat-type abilities. Next time we'll have cat-type abilities. It's better to buy plant-type abilities now. System. Exchange it for me for plant-type abilities. Ding. After deducting 10,000 points, congratulations on acquiring the plant-type ability. Can you fuse it? Fusion. After the words fell, the rich vitality of life spread in the body, and the cell activity became more active under the feedback of this breath of life. This vitality of life was very strong and constantly strengthened Lin Fan's physique. This strengthening was stronger than just now. The earth energy strengthens himself more thoroughly. Feeling the abundant vitality in his body, Lin Fan feels that even if his heart is exploded, he will not necessarily die, right? As long as he is given time, he can survive. Although the cat-type superpower it is very attractive, but plant-type powers are what Lin Fan needs more now. Plants. What are plants? Flowers, trees, even crops and vegetables are all plants. With plant-type powers, can it shorten the length of vegetables? Or even the growth time of crops? This is just what Lin Fan thought of. After truly obtaining the plant-type superpower, this rich life energy can be used to heal others. If someone is accidentally injured in the future, as long as there is still a Lin Fan who could bring it back to life with all his efforts. In just a few minutes, the number of superpowers changed from the original 2 to the current 4. When they are given to Li Siki and Zhao Yanyan in public tomorrow, the new women can also witness his greatness. Lin Fan was happily thinking about tomorrow. Not long after, Lin Yuyu and Zhao Wanqing walked over, rubbing their heads, and got directly into Lin Fan's arms. Seeing the two women's sad faces, Lin Fan felt a little heartbroken. You two don't have to be so anxious. This is not something that happens in a day or two. Don't think about it now. It's getting late and it's time to rest. Zhao Wanqing, who was lying in Lin Fan's arms and was distressed, felt her heart skip a beat. Tonight was the most important night for her. She was originally looking forward to this morning, but when zombies started to be killed later, she forgot about it. Now she's suddenly so nervous. But Lin Fan didn't give her much time to be nervous, or even give her a chance to make excuses. He held her waist and walked back to the room. Lin Yuyu didn't follow her. Today was Zhao Wanqing's important day. It would be better to give her some personal space. Lin Yuyu's 5 senses were very sharp after the enhancement of her powers. Not long after the two entered, she heard a low cry of discomfort. Zhao Yanyan and the others were not much different. The 3 sisters looked at each other. Everyone understood what was going on. As Lin Yuyu expected, she soon heard Zhao Wanqing's helpless call. Lin Yuyu didn't hesitate, got up and walked into the room. She still wanted to help her good sisters when they were in trouble. Looking at Zhao Yanyan and the others, several people returned to the room one after another. Li Yun and the 3 people who had been waiting beside them had a look of envy in their eyes, and they returned to the room together not long after. Lin Yuyu gave them the order that they could go to rest after all the masters in the living room had rested. But remember to have 3 meals on time every day. The lights in the living room were turned off, but every room was still as bright as day. Su Xiaoluo was writing hard and working hard to modify the design drawings. Li Yun and the other 2 did not fall asleep for a long time. The lights here were not turned off until midnight. Many people did not sleep tonight. 5 kilometers due north of the hospital, several figures on a tall building looked at the hospital. One of them was observing the hospital with a sniper scope. For a long time, the figure observing with the sniper scope raised his head, revealing a face that couldn't be more ordinary, so ordinary that if you throw it into a crowd, you won't look at it a second time, and you will even forget what the other person looks like in the blink of an eye. Appearance: the average young man is not tall, about 1.7 meters tall, with a crew cut. No matter where you look at him, he looks too ordinary. If it weren't for the anti-material sniper rifle in his arms, he wouldn't be worthy of any attention at all. Ah, hi. How are you? What did you see? The name of ordinary young people is Ahai. After hearing the inquiry from the middle-aged man next to him, Ahai said, Godfather, I didn't see anything useful. I only saw a group of women. I don't know what they were talking about in the dormitory building. A group of women? Wang Kui was stunned for a moment and repeated, a group of women? Are they all women? No man? Ahai shook his head. I didn't see any men, only traces of women. There were a lot of them, probably several hundred. It seemed like an organization composed of women. After Wang Kui heard this, a flash of disdain flashed in his eyes. Another all-female force. Like the stinky woman next door? How brave they're to hang up such a big light so blatantly that others won't know their location. Haha, interesting. Ahai, have you seen what weapons they have? Ah. Hai recalled it for a moment, frowned and said uncertainly, I saw it, but I still find it incredible. Wang Kui's heart sank. Could it be some powerful firearm? What? Forehead. Tang knives, about a dozen, no other highly lethal weapons found. The expression on Wang Kui's face froze, and it took him a long time to laugh out loud. A dozen Tang knives? Not even a gun? Who gave them the courage to be so arrogant? Wang Kui touched his shiny bald head, turned around and walked downstairs. Go down and order everyone tomorrow. I will take you to catch women and come back to play. In the early morning, Lin Fan woke up from the system beep. He turned on the system and took a look. Lin Fan quickly closed it. Those female warriors are so hardworking. Lin Fan couldn't help but sigh. He had said before that there was no need to kill zombies at night. He only needed to send a few people on duty to patrol regularly. Unexpectedly, this morning, the women were working hard to kill zombies. Others are working so hard without a system, so I can't be too lazy. Sighing, Lin Fan let go of Zhao Wanqing in his arms. He spent a lot of energy on her last night. It is estimated that she will not get up this morning. He allowed Zhao Yanyan and the other three to dress him, and at the beginning, he feeling uncomfortable, Lin Fan no longer felt any sense of disobedience. He patted Zhao Yanyan's little head as usual, and then Lin Fan left the room. It takes more than half an hour to get dressed every day, which is a bit time-consuming. Zhao Yanyan was very skilled in kung fu. If it were Li Siki, it would probably take longer. In the living room, 3 noble dogs were already waiting. Seeing Lin Fan coming out, they all knelt down to say hello. Finally, Li Yun asked, My lord, what do you want? Serve the food now. After thinking about it for a while, Lin Yu and the others won't be getting up for a while anyway. He's not in a hurry to eat, so he might as well go for a walk first. No, just stay. Waving his hand, Lin Fan walked downstairs and left the supermarket. Breathing in the fresh air from the outside world, 1 month after the apocalypse, the air was a lot fresher, which is quite ironic. While walking, Lin Fan saw the door Li Fengjiao and others were killing zombies. It wasn't because Lin Fan wanted to see it, but the target was too big. Good guy, more than 100 people stayed up early in the morning and stood at the door of the hospital. This was something he didn't expect. It looked like it was Li Fengjiao and the others who were demonstrating how to kill zombies, and then giving courage to other women. Lin Fan walked over curiously, and happened to see Lu Yuer holding a tang knife and slashing at the head of a zombie. The momentum was good, and the look in his eyes was good. She was decisive enough and acted decisively. It looked like that was the case. No need to think about this situation. Lin Fan also knew that this woman planned to be a female warrior, not a maid. Lin Fan's approach was quickly blocked by the woman. When they saw it, Li Fengjiao and others bowed their heads in salute, and the other women were no exception. Looking at Li Fengjiao and these women, the thing that left the deepest memory for Lin Fan was the figure of Li Fengjiao and the others in the morning light yesterday. 16 people, with the flesh and blood body, blocked the continuous attacks of zombies. This scene really shocked him. It also made him remember these women who had the courage to fight. These women's ideas of improving their strength were so pure, and their will was so determined. Maybe he is weak and afraid, so he climbs like crazy when there are stairs. Character: Li Fengjiao. Strength: 21. Agility: 22. Intelligence: 17. Physique: 23. Faith value: 100. Power: none. Skill: Sword Chi. Character: Zhu Fangfong. Strength: 20. Agility: 21. Intelligence: 17. Physique: 22. Faith value: 100. Power: none. Skill: Sword Chi. Character: Shu Yan. Strength: 21. Agility: 21. Intelligence: 18. Physique: 23. Faith: 100. Power: none. Skill: Sword Chi. Looking at the three women in the lead, Lin Fan was surprised. These three women had very strong attributes. It can be felt, but they also have skills, which Lin Fan didn't expect. System: what's going on? What's going on with this sword energy? Lord, the Tang Dao you gave you can be regarded as a training tool. These women use Tang Dao to kill zombies, which will improve their own quality. After the attributes reach 20 or more points, they can be regarded as a breakthrough. The sword nourishes people, and people nourish their chi. When combined, they can form a sword light with terrifying lethality. Lin Fan was stunned. Good guy, why are you arguing with me about martial arts novels? The sword energy is coming out. But this is a good thing. The stronger these women are, the happier Lin Fan is. They're all serving him anyway. The stronger the women are, the stronger his power is. What's the point of being strong alone? A power cannot rely on just one or two people. Looking at these women like Li Fengjiao, Lin Fan was thinking, now if there is sword chi, will there be gang chi in the future? If there is too much chi in the body, condensed outside the body, isn't it gang chi? Lin Fan always feels that this Doomsday has developed in the direction of martial arts novels. Lin Fan, they were thinking about the problem here. Li Fengjiao and the others didn't know that the three girls were a little confused when Lin Fan stared at them like this. Something is wrong. After coming back to his senses and seeing the woman's panic, Lin Fan suddenly understood and said comfortingly, I just checked your strength. It's very good. Sword Chi is very powerful. Your performance was a little faster than I expected. You are great. Hearing Lin Fan's praise, Li Fengjiao and others breathed a sigh of relief, and hurriedly leaned forward and said, I don't dare to take credit. If it weren't for the Lord, we would still be living in dire straits. All of this is because of you, Lord. Given. Okay. Stop praising, you guys go about your business, you did a good job, I'll go somewhere else. Lin Fan didn't stay long. He stayed here all the time and the women didn't have the time to train. He was just a disservice, so he had to keep avoiding people. Taking advantage of this moment, Lin Fan flew out of the hospital and started committing crimes from house to house. What kind of snacks were there? Lin Fan browsed all the shops and hotels, and his personal space was filled up in minutes. After running back and forth several times, Lin Fan was always searching for supplies. The back kitchens and even warehouses of major restaurants were visited. After taking care of all the restaurants on the street one by one, Lin Fan stopped moving. Lin Yu and the others had already gotten up and called him. Ask him to go back to eat. After breakfast, Zhao Wanqing, who was unable to move, was recovering from her injuries at home. Lin Fan took Lin Yu, Li Siki and others to the entrance of the hospital. When Lin Fan arrived with Lin Yu and the others, hundreds of women, both the female warriors and the maids were already waiting. Seeing this situation, Lin Fan had no nonsense, Zhao Yanyan. Before coming, Zhao Yanyan was informed of what would happen next. Only now did she understand the meaning of Lin Fan's question last night. It turned out that he wanted to teach her magical power in public today. Along the way, Zhao Yanyan felt like she was floating under her feet. She was so happy. It came so suddenly. Yesterday she was envious of Zhao Wanqing, but today she got her wish. Taking a step forward, Zhao Yanyan half knelt in front of Lin Fan respectfully. My lord, Zhao Yanyan is at your service. Looking at Zhao Yanyan who was half kneeling in front of him, Lin Fan still remembered the process of her serving him to get dressed in the morning. Zhao Yanyan also saw the look in Lin Fan's eyes, and her expression turned slightly. Knowing that this was not a place for fun, Lin Fan raised his head. He put his hand on her forehead. His face was solemn, full of majesty. Your performance has won my attention. I will give you extraordinary power today, don't let me down. After the words fell, Lin Fan thought silently in his heart, teaching supernatural powers, target Zhao Yanyan. Ding! Deduct 1000 points and start teaching superpowers now. Green light appeared in Lin Fan's palm, and a breath full of vitality poured into Zhao Yanyan's body. A breath of life spread. In the astonished eyes of many women, greenery spread on the surrounding ground, and the grass it grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, a miraculous scene that broke the women's outlook. Especially Lu Yuer and others who were brought back yesterday. Even though Li Fengzhao and the others described it vividly, they had never really seen it, so they still couldn't. I imagined the scene at that time, and now I finally see it with my own eyes. Miracle. This is simply a miracle. Everything happening in front of me cannot be explained by science at all. The only two words that can be described are, miracle. Change the law of growth of all things. This is a method only possessed by gods. The imparting of superpowers ended quickly. Lin Fan removed his palm, and Zhao Yanyan, who had finished strengthening her body, opened her eyes. The green light in her palm spread like raindrops, and the vegetation on the ground grew wildly again. A vine shot up from the ground, covered with barbs. The vine slapped on the ground, leaving deep whip marks on the ground. There were dense cracks around the whip marks. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the power was, and the ground was shaken. If it were a human being, he would have died suddenly on the spot. Thank you, Lord. Zhao Yanyan was pleasantly surprised. Lin Fan smiled and said, okay, please step back first. Yes. Zhao Yanyan responded and stepped aside, and the vines under her feet also disappeared one after another. Li Siki, who was standing next to Zhao Yanyan, felt her heart skip a beat. Under Mu Yueqing's envious gaze, she walked out, half knelt in front of Lin Fan, and said respectfully, my lord, Li Siki is at your command. You are also very good, so I decided to give you extraordinary power. With that said, Lin Fan put his palm on Li Siki's head and said silently in his heart, system, target of imparting superpowers, Li Siki. Ding! Deduct 1000 points and start imparting superpowers now. An earthy yellow light appeared, and thick earth attribute powers poured into Li Siki's body. The earth attribute seeds separated from Lin Fan's body took root in Li Siki's body. This time, no abnormality appeared. Just when the girls were confused. At that time, Li Siki, who had finished her body strengthening, opened her eyes. To stab. After the words fell, a sharp cone of earth suddenly rose from the ground. The cone of earth, which was half a meter high, was intimidating. If a person were to touch it, not only would the chrysanthemum be broken, but the person would also turn into a candied hawse. Earth wall. As if she was interested in testing her newly acquired abilities, Li Siki raised her leg and stamped her leg. The ground shook, and a 2-meter-high and 1-foot-thick earth wall rose from the ground. Lin Fan waved to Li Fengzhao, who was not far away, said, try the defense. Li Fengzhao understood, and took a few steps forward, 5 meters apart. He held his breath and concentrated. Lin Fan could feel a sharp qi flowing in Li Fengzhao's body. The sword flashed, and a half-meter-long half-moon sword appeared out of thin air. In an instant, it crossed a distance of 5 meters was cut on the earth wall. Boom! The earth and rocks flew with the roar, the smoke dispersed, and a terrifying knife mark half a foot deep and 1 meter long appeared on the earth wall. This terrifying result was shocking. It touched the hearts of many women present. Today they saw many things they had never heard of or seen before, such as the power of plants that grow in all things, the earth power of offense and defense, and the sword energy in martial arts novels. And these are all from the man in front of them. Granted, a miracle was performed in front of them. Although they had seen Lin Fan's power yesterday, they were still shocked today. Is this man really a god? Thinking of what Li Fengzhao said last night, Lu Yuer and others, they were all at a loss. Zhenlong Hotel, the top 5-star hotel in Magic City. Before the end, there was an endless stream of people coming here to eat. When the end comes, there will be even more people coming here to eat. It's just that the food these people want to eat are the living people upstairs. From the window on the 6th floor, Wang Kui looked down, holding a glass of wild rice wine as red as blood in his hand. The arm stretched out the window, The wine glass poured out, and the bright red wine like blood fell from the sky, falling on the heads and faces of the zombies, making the already ferocious zombies even more terrifying. Ho ho ho! The zombies roared crazily, scrambling for the blood of the living. Where was the wild rice wine spilled from the wine glass? It's clearly living human blood. The blood in the goblet poured out, Wang Kui let go, and the wine glass fell from a high altitude, finally smashing into pieces. Seeing the zombies below chasing after the smell of human blood, Wang Kui touched his shiny bald head, grinning and even looking crazy. Ha 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 ha. Ah hi. Do you think these zombies look like the pets I keep? The ordinary-looking Ah Hai looked at the group of corpses below with a dull look. Even the actions Wang Kui just made couldn't make many waves rise in his eyes. He has seen this kind of thing many times since the end of the world. As a person, a killer who lives in the darkness, his heart is very cold. Wang Kui didn't take it seriously for Hai's silence. He knew that Hai's character was like this. He was a man of few words, but he had great faith in him. After all, he raised him since childhood. Ah Hai. He is his killing machine, helping him clean up those opponents. There are many people like Ah Hai. Wang Kui has many people, but Ah Hai is the best one, and his attacks have never failed. Orphan. This is Ah Hai's identity. Wang Kui has adopted many orphans like Ah Hai since he was a child, and then trained and brainwashed him. On the surface, he is an entrepreneur, but secretly, he is a cruel executioner, killing people and setting fires. He often did things like destroying people. This hotel was Wang Kui's property. After the end of the world, Wang Kui tore off his disguise. He was already full of gangsters and became the cruel devil. The human blood just released was released from the captive slaves. Ah hi, is it almost time? Are our people ready? Those people are in the lobby on the 5th floor. Good. Wang Kui shouted coldly. A ferocious look flashed in his eyes. Let's go. Let's get those women back. Teach them the truth about the apocalypse, and then deal with the bitch next door. Speaking of the woman next door, Wang Kui looked out the window and finally settled on a bar. Night bar. Snort. On the 5th floor, a group of Wang Kui's thugs gathered in the lobby in small groups. These thugs held various weapons in their hands, including pistols and long guns, all of which were standard weapons. These did not originally belong to Wang Kui, but to Wang Kui. Kui took Ah Hai to raid the nearby police station, and then swept out the weapons. This greatly improved Wang Kui's strength. Some of these thugs were his men, and some were prisoners brought back from the detention center. Now, they're all surrendered to him. Hey, I heard from a hyena boy that the boss discovered a gathering place for living people last night? Isn't it? Ah Hai's face was so paralyzed. I asked him for a long time before I asked him something. What? Tell me quickly, I finally asked. Do you want to give me some benefits? For example, I have been attracted to that woman of yours for a long time. How about giving it to me to play with? Damn, I've been thinking about the woman that the boss rewarded me with all day long. Let me play with that one of yours too. Okay. In the corner, a man holding a sword in his hand chuckled and said, Don't be so reluctant. I heard that Boy Hai said that what was discovered this time was a force composed entirely of women, and the only weapon was his knife. Not much. I laughed to death after hearing this. Isn't this a piece of fat? Damn it. Real or fake? Is this okay? Isn't this giving women to brothers? The men next to them were all shocked. After reacting, they had silver smiles on their faces and looked extremely vulgar. The voices of the two were loud and attracted the attention of countless thugs. When they heard that they were all women, they all immediately shined light. There are many women in Zhenlong Hotel, and Wang Kui is not stingy with rewards, but men are like this, they always want to do something new. Now that I heard this news, my interest suddenly increased. Damn it, Long Z, please tell me honestly, what else do you know? That is it true or false? If you dare to talk nonsense, I'll slap you. Stop talking nonsense and explain it quickly, it will be of great benefit to you. Looking at the group of men with fierce faces approaching, Fei Long smiled and said proudly, I'm not lying to you. Didn't you see that the boss mobilized so much to call us all here? I heard Ah Hai say, hundreds of women, good guy, I was so stupid at that time. The key is that the weapons seem to only have a few tang knives, not even a gun. After Fei Long finished speaking, the thugs next to him were stunned. The weapons only had tang knives, or a few, and not even guns. What is this? Isn't this the meat sent to the side? Is there such a thing in the world? Good thing? Hiss, when the time comes, aren't the women just free for us to grab? Hundreds? Brothers, each one is enough, right? No, I can't bear it anymore. When will the boss come? Stop talking, the boss is here. Hearing that the boss was coming, the men quickly dispersed and looked at the door. Over there, Wang Kui walked over with a shiny bald head, and the sinister smile on his face looked particularly ferocious. Brothers, it seems that you all know. Wang Kui laughed. Looking at the wolf-like eyes of his men, he knew what they were discussing just now. Now that you all know it, then I have nothing to say. Everyone, please get over the overpass, get in our chariots, and come with me to snatch women. Wang Kui waved his hand, and the men screamed and rushed towards the windows. Outside several windows, long steel plates were built as bridges to connect to the buildings on the opposite side. Hundreds of men with guns rushed to the opposite side like crazy, their footsteps without stopping. They crossed several buildings. By this time, there were a lot less zombies downstairs. The men took the simple elevator they built and came downstairs. After killing the zombies nearby, they boarded the prepared vehicles one after another. Modified Hummer, modified big truck, howling. The modified Hummer rushed out like a wild beast, and the zombies in the way were crushed one after another. The rain of blood splashing in the air and the broken corpses of the zombies made a group of thugs even more excited, like a chicken blood, stepping on the accelerator desperately. A convoy of dozens of modified cars crossed the street, killing and smashing countless zombies, and rushed all the way to the second key hospital in the Magic City. This trip, maybe this is the end. At the entrance of the hospital, after imparting the superpower, Lin Fan checked his points. After spending nearly 2.50,000 points in one pass, there are now only 2,625 left. It can be said that he returned to before liberation overnight, but points, if you don't spend it, you can keep it. It's better to increase your vitality. Just say that the current 2,625 points will probably shrink by more than half soon. Because there are still 141 women who have chosen to kill zombies. From today on, they will from a maid to a female warrior. System. Redeem me 141 tang knives. Ding. 1410 points were deducted and 141 tang knives were obtained. The items have been distributed to personal space. The points dropped sharply to 1215 points in an instant, and what I got back was 141 tang knives. Is it a loss? It's not a loss. Look at Li Fengjiao and the others. Basically, everyone got back more than 20 times the tang knives they exchanged for 10 points. And there will even be more in the future. As long as these women dare to fight zombies. Lin Fan is even confident that in up to 3 days, the points can exceed the previous 2.50 and reach a higher level. With a wave of his hand in front of his eyes, 141 the Tang Dao flashing with cold light appeared in front of them. This hand shocked hundreds of women again. With a shake of the palm, the Tang Dao flew out of the air and appeared in front of the women one after another. The blade was 3/4 of the way into the ground. Since you have chosen to be female warriors, these will be your weapons in the future, and weapons are your life. Whether you can survive and become stronger depends on your use of this weapon. Now, pull out the Tang Dao in front of you. Lin Fan's shout shocked the hearts of the women, and they all pulled out the Tang Dao in front of them. Their hands were cold, and then a warm current flowed into their bodies. Picking up this knife will not only change your identity, but also you must shoulder the responsibility represented by this knife. If your performance does not satisfy me, I will let you go back to being maids. Lin Fan's cold gaze swept across, and the women's bodies were all cold. The knives in their hands felt a lot heavier. Everything that needed to be done and said had been said and done. Lin Fan faced Lin Yu nodded, her figure flashed, and she left the hospital. The next thing can be left to Lin Yu. This kind of trivial matter is too complicated, and Lin Fan is too lazy to take care of it. His current task is to be a porter. Lin Fan has almost finished moving the rice, noodles, oil, salt, sauce and vinegar. Next is some cosmetics, clothes, stockings, high heels, jewelry and the like. It is inevitable to go to the adult counter. After Lin Fan left, Lin Yu stepped forward to allocate the personnel, dispersed the 141 women, and handed them over to Zhao Yanyan and others to manage. The second management team was Li Fengzhou, Xu Yan and other outstanding female warriors. I believe that with Li Fengzhou and the others leading the team, these new recruits will quickly adapt to the rhythm of killing zombies. The teams have been divided. You don't have to go too far away from the hospital today. Just kill the zombies nearby outside the hospital. You'd better adapt to the rhythm that follows. This will allow you to survive better. There won't be anything like this tomorrow. Treated. Lin Yu's words made Lu Yuer and others feel awe-inspiring. They were afraid that tomorrow they would have to go to a place farther away from the hospital to kill zombies. By then, it would not be as safe as here in the hospital. A strong sense of urgency arose in the hearts of the women. Feeling, in order to survive better, they will work hard today. Attention of each team, under the leadership of their respective captains, go to the hospital to kill. Before Lin Yu could finish speaking, the thunderous roar of the engine came from the distance, mixed with howls like wild beasts. Go! 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 Get all those women, ouch, ouch! I saw, ha 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 ha, they're all women? All are women? They all belong to me. They all belong to me. I want to beat you 10 times. The heavily modified Hummer is clearing the way. It has terrifying power. Steel spikes are installed on both sides of the wheels and the front of the car. Anything in the way zombies on the road or that jumped up were smashed into pieces. The entire Hummer was like a huge meat grinder. In the Hummer, Wang Kui was sitting in the passenger seat. Through the front window, he could see the words, Magic City's Second Key Hospital, in front of him. The person driving the car was a tall black man with bulging muscles in his arms, looking particularly scary. The Hummer was followed closely by dozens of modified vehicles, jeeps, and large trucks, all of which had been modified to the point of being modified. The zombies on both sides would be smashed into pieces by the steel spikes on the wheels as long as they got close. On the big truck behind, the thugs holding microchargers were howling and screaming, looking crazy, and their eyes were bloodshot, like wild beasts emerging from their cages. Ouch, ouch. Go, go, go. I can't wait to push those girls to the ground and do it. Oh, I saw it, ha 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 ha, just like what Ahai said. Those women all wielded tang knives. I was laughing so hard. Grass. There are more than 100 women, all holding tang knives. Are they trying to make Dad laugh to death? Is the knife useless? I'll give you all the tutu? Damn it. Those women are so beautiful. I've fallen in love with the pretty girl standing at the door. That's my thing. Stop looking. Give me a look, that's enough. I want the guy over there who looks the most ticklish. I want you to be taller than a horse. Is that something you can touch? Those are all Big Brother's dishes. A dozen men on the truck were pushing each other, fighting for the telescope, and the expressions on their faces were indescribably vulgar. After grabbing the telescope, the team leader who spoke last took out his walkie-talkie, dialed the number and said flatteringly, "Boss, look. When I arrived, I saw them all. There were many women at the door. There were a lot of weapons, but they were all tang knives. No heavy weapons were found. Damn it, boss, those buttons are so beautiful, it looks so exciting." In the Hummer, listening to the report on the intercom, Wang Kui opened his eyes and showed his fierce look. Big Black. Full speed ahead. When the black man heard Wang Kui's order, a disgusting smile appeared on his ugly face, and he stepped on the accelerator. The Hummer was like a crazy bull, the engine roared, and the speed surged again. On a tall building not far away, Ahai is standing on the roof of the building, holding an anti-equipment sniper rifle in his hand and aiming at the hospital. Not only this building, but also several other buildings had snipers pointing the direction of the hospital. Wang Kui's ability to reach this point was not just relying on cruel means, and brains are also essential. And before the end of the world, being able to possess a powerful and destructive weapon like an anti-material sniper rifle under such severe domestic restrictions is enough to prove Wang Kui's wisdom and ability. Even when a lion fights a rabbit, he still goes all out. Wang Kui has no intention of capsizing in the gutter. It is Wang Kui's creed that he must be fully prepared for everything. He is not a brainless villain. Like killing other people's whole families, destroying people for everything he did, he mobilized a large amount of manpower at once to make careful plans, or even more than one set of plans. His meticulousness was astonishing. Wang Kui never did anything to impart experience to others. At the door of the hospital, Lin Yu had already seen the speeding Hummer, and the other women also heard the harsh roar and the howls of the thugs, and all of them seemed a little panicked. Among the more than 100 people, only Lin Yu and Li Fengjiao, the faces of these female warriors, are as usual. After all, they are women who have seen the big world or have powerful abilities. They are not on the same level as ordinary women like Lu Yuer. Whether it is courage or strength, they are not on the same level. Squeak. The Humvee suddenly stopped at the entrance of the hospital. The terrifying force, even when it stopped, knocked the few zombies at the entrance of the hospital 10 meters away, and they disintegrated in midair. Click, click, click. The submachine gun was spitting out flames. One after another, the thugs jumped out of the car, and the dense bullets completely wiped out the few zombies. Pushing open the door of the Hummer, Wang Kui got out of the passenger seat, touched his shiny bald head, and stood in the sunshine. Wow, the bald head is so bright. Hulila. A group of people swarmed in, each with a gun in their hand. Hundreds of thugs looked at Lin Yu and others through the hospital's electronic door with bright eyes. Boss, these girls look so exciting, I can't bear it anymore. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The thugs smashed the electronic door hard, and the thugs laughed ferociously. The harsh sound and the guns in their hands made many women turn pale. Wang Kui raised his hand, and the thugs stopped talking and stopped banging on the electronic door. With both hands on the electronic door, Wang Kui glanced at the weapons in the women's hands with disdain. I don't like to use violence, because it can easily cause casualties. After all, bullets have no eyes. I'm here to ask, is anyone willing to follow us? Wang Kui is telling the truth. Bullets are short-sighted when it comes to fighting. Although women are good, in Wang Kui's eyes, men who can fight are more important. He doesn't want to fight hand-to-hand with these women. Wouldn't that be a fool? What if? It would be best if it could be solved peacefully. I don't know if it was to cheer Wang Kui. The thugs next to him all opened the insurance, and the sound of click touched the nerves, and many women began to look pale. His face turned pale, and there was even a look of panic in his eyes. Seeing this situation, Wang Kui was very satisfied. He even felt that if he was forced for a while, or even threatened with a shot, some women might kneel down and beg for mercy. In the apocalypse, the deterrence of guns is very high. Once someone takes the lead in surrender, it is not impossible to trigger large-scale surrender under panic. After all, everyone follows the herd. A cold light flashed in Shu Yan's eyes when he saw these men. She has murderous intentions. Those guns are indeed scary, but she is confident enough to dodge those bullets. She doesn't need to be faster than those bullets. She just needs to be faster than those who shoot. As long as she is shot, she rushed into the crowd. She was sure to kill all these scum within a few minutes. Even if she was unfortunately hit by a bullet, it didn't matter. This life was given by Lin Fan. These scum tried to invade the hospital and rob the hospital. She would risk her life to take away Lord Lin Fan's property. Not only Shu Yan, but also dozens of female warriors such as Li Fengjiao had their hands on the handle of the knife. The energy in Li Fengjiao and Zhu Fangfeng's bodies was even more concentrated. Once if he takes action, it will definitely be shocking. Sensing the serious atmosphere, Wang Kui squinted his eyes and looked at Li Fengjiao and others who were trying to take action. He felt a little ridiculous in his heart. Are these women crazy? Are they going to fight with knives and bullets? What year is it? At this time, Lin Yu suddenly raised his hand. Seeing this action, Li Fengjiao and others were slightly startled. What is this? Why not let them do it? Shu Yan and others are getting anxious. Are they going to take the initiative? Giving up all her foundation to these people in front of her? Lin Yu definitely didn't think so. She heard the rapid breathing of the women behind her, which was caused by excessive stress. Lin Yu didn't take the thugs in front of her seriously. Hundreds of people? Hundreds of guns? It's nothing? If she wanted to, she could kill them all in less than a minute. In fact, she not only spotted Wang Kui and others in front of her, but also had a sniper in the distance. She discovered the guns Ah Hai and others. The ability to control magnetic fields is as high as level 6. Now Lin Yu can be said to be an inhuman existence. When she was targeted by the sniper rifle, she already had a sense of crisis in her heart, and she glanced lightly scanning. I saw a sniper upstairs 1,000 meters away. The reason why I didn't kill the people in front of me was not because I was afraid of their guns, nor was I afraid of the snipers in the distance. To put it bluntly, even if Lin Yu stood still, if she doesn't move here, as long as she thinks about it, those bullets will never be able to break through the hospital door. She has only one idea now. How many of these 141 women are not firm enough? These people in front of her are the best touchstones. If there are any, clean up quickly. In the hospital, Lin Fan is not here. Lin Yu has the absolute right to speak. No one dares to violate it. Even if Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki don't understand what Lin Yu is thinking, they did not act rashly at this time. They believe that Lin Yu did this. She must have a point. On the second floor of the supermarket, Zhao Wanqing stood by the window and looked at the door of the hospital. The roar outside was so harsh. She was not deaf. Looking at Lin Yu's movements, Zhao Wanqing thought about it and probably understood what she was thinking. Mistress Wanqing, do you want to call the Lord? The three noble dogs waiting on the side spoke. It was Li Yun who spoke. There were too many people at the entrance of the hospital, and they all carried guns. Li Yun was afraid of something happening. In her eyes, if Lin Fan comes back, there is nothing to fear from these people. No need, this small scene doesn't require the Lord to come back at all. If Yu is willing, you can kill them all in 1 minute. Let alone Yu, even if I am outside, these people will never survive for 2 minutes. Zhao Wanqing shook her head slightly, with disdain in her words. Li Yun and the other three looked at each other, not daring to say anything more. You can say it again. If you say it again, you are obviously questioning Zhao Wanqing, the mistress. Anyone who is not stupid will not do such a stupid thing. At the door of the hospital, Lin Yu opened her red lips lightly and said calmly. Do any of you want to surrender? I can allow you to go over, otherwise there will be a fight. The sword has no eyes, and you will be really dead if you are hit by bullets. There is no regret medicine to take. Behind Lin Yu, the women were frightened. Those black muzzles were too scary. Lin Fan is not here now. What should they do? Yuer, what should we do? Qin Shiyue pulled the corner of Lu Yuer's clothes and asked fearfully. She was used to listening to Lu Yuer's opinions, and she seemed to have no independent opinion. Although she had her own ideas in her heart, she wanted to hear Lu Yuer's opinions more. Opinions, see if they're the same. Han Jingyi blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Lu Yuer. Being stared at by the good sisters, Lu Yuer had thousands of thoughts in her heart. The accident came too fast, I couldn't even react. Thinking about the miracle I just saw, and then looking at Lin Yu standing in front of me, I made up my mind. Fight with them? Okay, let's fight them, I listen to you. The three sisters clenched the hilts of their knives. As long as Lin Yu said a word, they would rush forward even if they had to hold the gun. If they died earlier, they wouldn't have to suffer in the Doomsday. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. 5 minutes passed. Although the women's eyes were very shaken, no one came forward in the end. Seeing this scene, Wang Kui's face turned dark. The situation he least wanted to see happened. If you don't drink the toast, you will be fined with wine. Since you want to die, I will make it happen for you. Wang Kui was furious. The women in front of him thought he was an idiot. Would they rather die than fight with him? Just those broken knives. No matter how fast your knife is, can you kill me from 7 or 8 meters away? Can't, but my gun can kill you all in 1 minute. He still has to resist stubbornly. What is this if he isn't a fool? He even doubted whether these women were mentally abnormal. I thought I would gain something big when I came out this time, but what happened? Grass. Encountered a group of lunatics with one mind. I would rather die than surrender. Then what was his purpose in bringing people out? This trip was a waste of fuel and bullets just to kill these women suddenly. No matter how you look at it, this horse rider is losing money. But this is the fact, and Wang Kui has no way to do it. With their arms raised high, the eyes of many thugs flashed with unbearable looks, but they did not hesitate and raised their guns one after another. As long as Wang Kui gave the order, they would pull the trigger without hesitation. With hundreds of guns pointed at them, no matter how firm their confidence was, the women were now panicking, with cold sweat on their foreheads. This time, they were really going to die. Is it true that none of you are willing to surrender? You will probably die next. Lin Yu looked calm and didn't take these people seriously at all. Lin Yu's attitude deeply irritated Wang Kui. How calm was that look in her eyes? It was as if she didn't take him and his men into consideration at all. This attitude of contempt and disdain made Wang Kui crazy. Shot! Shot! Shoot them all! The roar was like a wild beast. Wang Kui's face was ferocious, his eyes were bloodshot, and he was in a state of madness. Godfather, leave quickly. Go quickly. At the moment when Wang Kui ordered the shooting, Ahai's uneasy roar came from the intercom, as if he had seen something terrible. The sudden sound made Wang Kui stunned for a moment. But others were not like this. This reaction occurred. The moment Wang Kui ordered to fire, everyone pulled the trigger. At this moment, hundreds of guns spurted out flames. The pupils of Li Fengjiao and others suddenly shrank, and they all started to move, but before they could take a step forward, as soon as he made a move, he was imprisoned in place. On a tall building in the distance, Ahai looked horrified. When Wang Kui ordered to shoot, he was about to pull the trigger, but the killer's instinct was warning frantically at this moment. That kind of the fatal crisis almost made him suffocate. He didn't know where this sense of crisis came from, but this innate sense of crisis had saved his life more than once, and he was convinced that at this time he was shouting at the walkie-talkie frantically. Intense gunshots came from the distance. Ahai felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His whole body seemed to have been thrown into the cold winter, and his whole body was exuding an icy cold air. At the entrance of the hospital, look as hundreds of guns fired at the same time, the women's hearts clicked in unison, and their pupils were extremely dilated. They seemed to have foreseen their deaths. Without escaping, they knew that everything was over. 1 month after the end, they were free. No more pain, maybe no more fear of death, no more suffering. To live is to suffer, at least for now. Lu Yuer's eyes were blank, looking at the bullets coming from her, she was really blank. She knew that this bet was wrong, and her god did not come to save her, but it was okay. Just die once, it would be over, and she would not have to work hard or think about who to please all day long. In this way, it was quite good, okay. Just when Lu Yuer and others were desperate, they suddenly realized that something was wrong. Well, Yue, why am I not dead yet? Do you see the bullets still flying in front of you? Why do I feel like I'm in slow motion? The sound of the gunshot was piercing, but several seconds had passed. How come she wasn't dead yet? Moreover, she actually saw bullets spinning not far away in front of her. Lu Yuer and everyone were stunned. Yuer, I seem to have seen it too. Is this the world before death? I heard that there is great horror when people die. Is it this kind of slow death? Qin Shiyue was a little confused and looked very confused when she spoke. Han Jingyi was full of question marks. You two are enough. The bullet has clearly stopped. Where are you two mumbling about wool? The invisible magnetic field will cause thousands of the bullet was controlled in midair. Lin Yu ignored Wang Kui and others who were stunned in front of him, and slowly turned around to look behind him. He raised his hand and pinched Li Fengjiao's anxious face. Lin Yu smiled slightly. At this moment, the women present seemed to see the goddess. This smile amazes all living beings. Why are you anxious? I'm not anxious. Why are you anxious? Li Fengjiao's face was pinched by Lin Yu. Li Fengjiao's face instantly reached the root of her neck. Then she quickly tightened her legs in a very unsatisfactory way. Lin Yu. Li Fengjiao is always embarrassed, she. Withdrawing her hand, Lin Yu's face quickly returned to normal. Looking at the pale-faced girls, she said with satisfaction. Your performance is outstanding. I thought some of you would stand up and surrender, but you exceeded my expectations. Unexpectedly, no matter what the reason is, your performance has won my approval. Recognized by Lin Yu, the women looked at the bullets stopped in midair. They finally realized something, and their faces flushed with excitement. Yes. As a superior god, Lin Fan rewarded the maid who was waiting beside him with divine power. But what about Lin Yu, the mistress? How could it not be? They are so stupid, it's no use worrying. Different from the excitement of the women, the thugs including Wang Kui were stunned. The guns in their hands were all empty of bullets, but the women in front of him were not injured at all. Looking at the dense bullets that stopped in midair, Wang Kui was stunned. How is this going? Who can tell me what is going on? Wang Kui's absent-minded voice brought back the sanity of the thugs. Looking at the dense bullets parked in midair in front of them, each of them looked pale and their eyes were horrified. This situation beyond their understanding frightened them. Run. Run away. This is what all the thugs are thinking. Fuck those women, don't want them anymore, run away. But soon, these thugs discovered that they couldn't move. How? What happened? Why can't I move? Grass, what happened? Why is my body no longer under my control? What a joke. Move. Move. Move quickly. Ah. Damn it, why can't I move? A horrified howl came from the door. Hearing the howls of his men around him, Wang Kui's heart tightened. He tried quickly, but found that he really couldn't move. It was clear that he still had control over his body, but his thoughts could. It was conveyed, but I just couldn't move. It was like my body was embedded in a mold. It was so tight that I couldn't move at all. At this time, Ahai's horrified cry came from the intercom. Godfather, run. You run. Something is wrong. There's something wrong with that woman, and I've discovered a big problem. The man passing through the sky in the previous video is probably the leader of this force. Godfather, run away. Run. No matter how Ahai shouted on the walkie-talkie, it had no effect. Wang Kui wanted to pick up the walkie-talkie and respond, but he couldn't. He couldn't move at all now, let alone escape. He couldn't even move his fingers. I know, I failed this time. It's not that he wasn't careful enough, or that he was careless. It's that the opponent didn't play according to common sense. Damn. The opponent actually has superpower you. This directly hit the steel plate. No. This is the nuclear bomb is on. Zilla, Zilla. The sound of thunder and lightning was piercing, and a figure wrapped in a blue electric arc flew quickly through the sky. The arc spread several meters behind him, and he arrived at the door of the hospital in almost the blink of an eye. Click. From landing in midair, thunder and lightning raged around him. When the lightning dissipated, Zhao Wanqing's lineup was revealed. Looking at the hundreds of men in front of him, Zhao Wanqing glanced at Lin Yuyu next to him and asked, "What are you planning to do?" Killed. Listening to Lin Yuyu's understatement, Wang Kui and others felt an infinite chill in their hearts. Don't kill me, I don't want to die, I can surrender to you. Right. Don't kill me, I can work, I'm very strong, I can kill zombies, please don't kill me. I don't want to die, spare my life, no matter what you ask me to do. The thugs' faces were pale, and they kept wailing and begging for mercy. Lin Yuyu was upset when she heard this. With a little care, everyone was sealed. What do you recommend? Zhao Wanqing glanced over and nodded. With so many people on the other side, they should be a big force. There must be a lot of women and men left behind in their stronghold. We must root out all the evil and find out their stronghold. Then they went to search the house. Lin Yuyu nodded. Okay, let's do this. There are a few small bugs in the distance. Go kill them or bring them back. Zhao Qing's eyes narrowed slightly, and she looked towards the tall building 1,000 meters away, and soon found her target. I went first. After saying that, he jumped up from the ground, like a thunderbolt passing through the air, and quickly flew towards the tall building in the distance. On the roof, seeing this scene through the sniper rifle scope, Ahai was completely frightened. Seeing Wang Kui and others motionless on the spot, Ahai gritted his teeth, turned around and ran downstairs. Hey, little brother, I didn't intend to let you go like this. A cold voice came, and Ahai was startled. Why so fast? He turned around and was about to raise his gun to attack, but just as he turned around, a ray of lightning rushed to him. Zilala, the lightning flashed, and Ahai struggled on the ground in pain, but the lightning was so terrifying that he soon stopped moving. The lightning dissipated, leaving only a charred corpse on the spot. Oops, I accidentally overcharged the battery, I'm sorry. Although he said he was sorry, there was no apologetic attitude on Zhao Wanqing's face. She bent down to pick up the anti-material sniper rifle on the ground, and flew towards the tall building next to her without looking back. All 4 snipers were killed. Zhao Wanqing's eyes cold and murderous, she had no intention of letting anyone go. After coming and going, Zhao Wanqing didn't even need 3 minutes to return to the hospital again, throwing down 3 anti-material sniper rifles and spreading her hands. Well, these are the harvest. As for people, do you want charcoal? Lin Yuyu was speechless. Just kill him. What else could you say to me? Looking at the door, Lin Yuyu's mind was spinning, and he soon thought of a new idea. It would be too cheap for these men to die like this. It's just right. The group of new recruits behind them hadn't seen any blood yet, so let these men sacrifice their swords. With a wave of his hand, dense bullets shot out in midair. Hundreds of men's legs were bleeding, and Zhao Feng was penetrated by bullets one after another. Wound. After doing this, Lin Yuyu took a shot from the sky, and the men flew into the hospital one after another. With his fingers hooked, a man whose right leg was injured by a bullet floated out and stopped in the open space. Pointing at this man, Lin Yuyu looked at the girls behind her and said, "He is your opponent. Which one of you will kill him with the sacrificial knife?" Zhao Wanqing next to her heard this and her eyes lit up. This move is so wonderful.